Obviously, this is a very dark time, a very confusing time. It is unclear why or how this is happening. This just in, the governor has issued this short statement. Stay in your homes and lock your doors. Do not trust anybody. This is Philip Hudson reporting live from the emergency headquarters at the Jared Smith Center for the Performing Arts. We have reports that the West End fires are spreading even further. People living in the area are advised to be very cautious. If the fire gets close, evacuate your family and head to the nearest safe house. Once again, the following is a list of military safe houses. Regional Police Precinct 22 at 239 Ellington Avenue, Old City Hall at 55 Mill Street, and the Jared Smith Center for the Performing Arts at 26 King Street. Folks, please bring whatever supplies you can. We are in dire need of food, water, clothing, batteries, flashlights, weapons, and ammunition. This is Philip Hudson reminding you that we will be doing reports every hour on the hour for as long as we can. That was Joe Grant with tips on making earlier from household items. Thanks, Joe. I'll be working on my suit later this evening. We want to take a moment now to remind our listeners that the West End fires are still raging. The entire area is to be avoided if possible. In other news, we've been getting regular reports from Mr. Kaufman about the City of the Living. When we spoke to Mr. Kaufman earlier today, he confirmed that the perimeter is complete and 100% effective. They are now focused on clearing out the remaining pockets of creatures. Efforts are currently underway to transport citizens to the safety of this city. As always, we will keep you informed as this story progresses. It looks as if the fires in the West End have finally burned themselves out. This should come as a relief to anyone still in the area. In other good news, the power is back on in much of the state. The good people at Minden Nuclear Plant were able to get Reactor B back online earlier today. We owe these professionals our gratitude for keeping the grid up during these trying times. Folks, we have some fantastic news for you. Mr. Kaufman, the man overseeing much of the work in the City of the Living, has just informed us that an evacuation effort will begin shortly. People interested in moving to the fortified city should make their way to the Jared Smith Center for the Performing Arts. We'll keep you posted as more details come in. Evacuation efforts to the City of the Living are well underway. People from all over the state have been arriving at the Jared Smith Center throughout the day. We expect that the convoy will move out sometime tomorrow. We have a situation here at the Jared Smith Theater. All the people arriving for the evacuation have led those creatures here. The military is holding them off at the moment, but I've never seen so many of those things in one place. Anyone coming here should be extremely... Angela! You too!
Mexico. Nossa.
We apologize for our earlier coverage of the so-called Madison race riots. First coming in now, we take the violence that led to racial division restricted to the greater Madison area. What is certain is that the seemingly unexplained mass hysteria continues to spread throughout the heartland of the interracial community in the South. Now we live with Pastor Lance here at St. Augustine Hospital.
David, the staff here says they haven't seen anything close to the sheer volume of casualties. Badly injured, very frightened people are pouring in, no exaggeration, by the hundreds. And we're told that most of the injuries are bites, not gunshot or stab wounds, as we were led to believe earlier. Just a few minutes ago, we spoke with one of the doctors that has been on call since this morning when the patients arrived.
We have seen cases of complete rupture of kidney, extraction, deep wound laceration, even a large section of flesh torn away as if by a red dog Why?
We've been told by nurses there have been complications.
Almost all infection begins infection. Many had wet spots and shock. One patient,
Have there been fatalities?
excuse me, miss. I'm sorry, I have to go. I was coming home from work, and I saw this woman in the road, and she was moaning or something. I went out to go see. I thought she was hit by a car or something like that. I went to go reach out to help her. She bit me in the arm and scratched up my face. It just took off.
Doctors are still at a loss as to the reason behind these attacks, and the situation doesn't seem to be improving. The past few minutes, I've seen 4 ambulances and several cars pull up with victims seeking emergency care. Whatever's going on, it seems to be far from over. David?
Thank you, Catherine. Speculation seems to surround the origin of this phenomenon. Theories include airborne plague, toxic chemical spill, bioterrorism, and even a spaceborne virus. Viewers should be advised that there is no official explanation as to it. Teams from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Center for Disease Control, and Office of Emergency Preparedness have been dispatched to Chicago, Madison, and the Twin Cities. While martial law has not been declared, the governors of all 3 states are encouraging citizens to remain calm and stay at home for the present. We've had no official response from the White House, and the president is considering returning from his fishing trip to Chester. On the situation as
The president wants to make it perfectly clear that this is not a case of terrorism. No such agents exist in the arsenal of any nation of known terrorists. He also wants to stress the need for calm and respect for law and order. The quicker people can get off the streets and into their homes, the quicker the appropriate federal and state agencies can reach these troubled areas. Although a further call-up of reservists is on the table, our current overseas military assets remain in place to reassure our allies that this is a minor, containable situation we expect to see fully resolved in 24 hours or less.
again, that was Press Secretary William Kaplan, first official statement from the White House a little over 30 minutes ago, stressing calm that what he assures us is a fully containable situation. I've just received word from my producers that a tape showing one of these random attacks has been dropped off in our studio. They tell that the tape contains graphic pictures and violence. Viewers should be advised. Apologize for the footage you just witnessed. I did not have the chance in previous interview with him, should imagine. They would never allow material in such poor taste to be broadcast on this or any television show, especially in the newsroom. The human mind is full of means and choice, and most people don't practice oriental preaching. So naturally, any fight is going to become effective no matter what. These people don't have some sort of. Yes, but Dr. Collar, David, what you fail to realize is that most of these so-called experts are looking in the wrong direction. The problem is not chemical or biological, it's psychological. What we're witnessing here is the spontaneous combustion of a pent-up rage fueled by frustration over a pressurized society. It's the snap post on a national level. Well, how can you explain that? Look, in light of the
U.S. State.
Look, I'm sorry, we have this subway right now. I just need informed that both Distant and New Delhi are reporting sporadic outbreaks of violence similar to those around. And clearly, this is no longer an American.
What's wrong, man?
Just giving a picture from our BBC correspondent.
Can't get
Over to
comfortable.
Trevor Hanna in London. Trevor,
We're in Notting Hill, part of London. Who knows that this report will ever be transmitted? Communication is at best limited. The city seems to be overrun with man-eating creatures and run.
like most stations, we're experiencing technical problems with our satellite connection. We'll try to follow the situation and bring you up-to-date information when we decide to come necessary. We now have word on the situation in Brooklyn. All bridges and tunnels to Manhattan have been destroyed. With a barrier of Coast Guard craft is taking a position on the island. We don't know, however, if this is to keep you fighting in or getting out. We should have footage for you more shortly. The state and local authorities are urging communities to form clean and sweep teams. Now go live to Monroeville, just outside of Pittsburgh, where one of these sweeps is currently
Hey, come on! Put another regular woman over there. She's a twitcher. Twitcher? You get these twitchers and shoot them, they go down and you can't let them hit them. Okay? Yeah. You should have gone with that. You know that. I know some. I know some of these people. You know? These guys are the worst days of the summer. Over there. It's over there. That building right there? Right there.
Yeah, we have some startling information from Fran Carter. Having come in the examiner's office. Fran, I'm about to show you. This is most terrific. Stand back, I told you. Please keep your distance. You can see how dangerous it is. No person has survived this disease. And I can assure you, every victim that has committed this hospital has turned out just like this. They die on the table. What has happened though, is that they have actually come out from the dead.
So you're telling me this man has come back to life?
I know it sounds absolutely impossible, but what we're talking about here is reanimation. But a dead man. But this one, I was doing an autopsy too. During the whole autopsy, he never stopped moving. I took out his heart, you know, to get the trap. What I'm trying to tell you is, the dead are walking. That's all I can say.
Well, how are people supposed to protect themselves, Doctor?
This is the most contagious disease I've ever seen. But I would say, and I warn you, everybody, do not come in contact with any of these zombies.
And there you have it, David. The dead are alive, and there's no cure, and there's no explanation, and there's no nothing. Oh my God! David, come on! Yes, in the circulatory, respiratory, and other vital functions have terminated, these subjects are technically deceased. There's just nothing yet for disability questions. The infection is spread through direct fluidic contact. It must enter through the bloodstream through an open wound. The infection duration depends on the size of the wound and its proximity to a major blood vessel. Reanimation will occur no later than 1 to 5 minutes after the victim's primary life functions have expired. Once reanimation has occurred, the subject will respond with an immediate homicidal aggression.
It's clearly a shocking development.
returning to life. The scope of this epidemic
Yeah.
is
I love you. Just be loud. Yeah, a little bit.
the President sent a
Oh,
package of
alright.
initiatives to be explained by the Secretary of Defense. To our network, Mr. Secretary.
As of 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the President declared the war of the United States under martial law. The nationwide curfew at 7 p.m. tonight has been put into effect for any citizen caught outdoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. is subject to arrest and detention without penalty. All reserve military personnel and National Guard are ordered to report for immediate deployment. All law enforcement, firefighting, and emergency personnel will be federalized effective immediately. All communication facilities, including the use of landline and cellular telephone facilities, will be reserved for military and rescue operations. In order to halt the spread of this contagion, our nation's borders to Canada and Mexico will no longer seek shelter
Little
from
better,
private residences to military safe and protected at all times. Retain all ownership records of private property, but do not attempt to transport or defend said property. Rest assured, looters will be prosecuted with deadly force, as will any attempts at vigilantism or secessions will be protected. No questions.
That was the Secretary of Defense. That's the announcement that the dead are somehow coming back to life. And I got
We have to cut this shit off. Zombies up here.
five things. I need those rescue stations. Fine. You know what? Fine. I'll do that.
We got it up a little. Good night.
Current estimate in the U.S. puts the number of dead at over 10 million. But this is, many would consider, a wildly conservative estimate. Regarding the entire world, I can't even begin to give you one bright spot to report. We now have a tape of what to do if you should find yourself assaulted by an enemy. Can you roll it?
Okay, enough. 5, 4, 3, turn.
He's up! What? He's up!
Ladies and gentlemen, in the background, Brett will now demonstrate on an actual Romeo Lima Foxtrot hold hard and soft points. Brett, go ahead.
If you're going to shoot him, slow him down with him, bring him to his feet, and get right back up. You shoot him in the chest, slow him down, but he'll still come back. There's only one place to deal with this monster. You shoot him in the head, right in the head, between the eyes.
Watch it, Brett. Stay on, guys, stay on. What we're going to be doing is working on a female zombie. A little bit different. If I anticipate this fight, it's going to be coming out. Give me a female! Okay, watch very carefully. Hey! She's down. Honey, I'm sorry, sweetheart. What, guys? That's clear. All right. Some of you males may find it somewhat disconcerting to have to engage female of the species. I did. It took a long time to get over it, but it's necessary. This is three, mind you, multiple suspects coming from opposing directions. This is not fun. This is scary. You'll all go through it. Stay with me. Watch very carefully. Okay. Turn you on. You ready, boys? Here's the smoke. Stand by. Hey, look. Stay on him. Watch, they're getting up. 3, 2, 1. Clear. Ladies and gentlemen.
gentlemen, what you've just seen here is not pretty. I don't enjoy this. I don't think you will either, but it's a necessary evil, if you will. I don't know anything else to tell you about this.
Lucas, are we on? We're on.
Yeah, we're still on.
It's been confirmed from several sources that the destruction of Shanghai and Hong Kong were the result of thermonuclear explosions.
Fuck you.
Whether set by the Chinese government, a rogue faction of the Chinese military, or the Russian government in their promise to aggressively defend their borders, is still not and may never be known. Within the next hour, we will be transferring responsibilities to the emergency broadcast system. We believe, although this has not yet been confirmed, that the President and his cabinet have already left Washington, D.C. for an undisclosed, secure location. We now have an audio, some would say, final audio message to the American people.
My fellow Americans, this republic faces a crisis like no other in its history. While the lights across this great land dim and the darkness of an uncertain future descends, let us not forget the words that led our country through another great challenge. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. We will endure, we will rebuild, we will drive away the night and warm our children in the dawn of a new day. God bless you all. And God bless the United States of America.
Honey, I'm coming home. We get the kids ready. I'll be there soon.
They're surrounded.
What did you do?
Well, I reached out and I kicked on no face right for me. I didn't know about no hidden debtors obvious back then. It was just a reaction. Luckily, he was a big fellow with just one leg, and he went on wobbly and it tipped right over. And I jumped back up into the cab, and I just...
We apologize for our earlier coverage of the so-called Madison race riots. Reports coming in now indicate the violence is neither racially motivated nor restricted to the greater Madison area. What is certain is that this seemingly unexplainable mass hysteria continues to spread throughout the heartland, with injuries reported to be in the thousands. We now go live to Catherine Lanphier at St. Augustine Memorial Hospital.
911.
There's something wrong with my neighbor. He's been coughing for like 3 days straight, and now he's screaming in there. I heard a crash. I think he fell or something.
Ma'am, slow down for me. What's your address?
It's the Evergreen Apartments, 214 Pike Street, 3rd floor, apartment 3B.
Okay, we've got your location. Has anyone been injured?
I don't know. He was coughing so bad earlier, like this deep, wet sound. Then just now, I heard something hit the wall. I went to knock and he started banging on the door like crazy. He keeps saying he can't see. He's saying his eyes burn.
Ma'am, please stay away from the door. Officers are on their way. Do not make contact with him, okay?
Okay. Oh my God, he's hitting it harder. I think he broke the chain. Wait, he's bleeding through his nose. He's spitting up blood. Or...
Ma'am, get somewhere safe right now. Are you still there?
He's in the hallway. He's crawling. He's making these sounds like... Oh God. He just stood up. He's looking right at me. His eyes are all white.
Ma'am, get inside and lock the door. Units are 2 minutes away.
He's running.
Hello?
Our top story tonight comes from Fort Pierce, Florida, where authorities are investigating a mysterious illness that has left several residents severely ill. Local hospitals report a sudden surge in patients showing extreme flu-like symptoms, including high fever, intense fatigue, and severe respiratory distress. Officials are calling this an unusual outbreak, though they caution the public that the situation is under control. Health experts say the cases are isolated, and no human-to-human transmission has been confirmed. Residents are advised to follow standard flu precautions. Meanwhile, authorities have quarantined the affected area, and the Centers for Disease Control has dispatched a team to investigate the cause. At this time, the source of the illness remains unknown.
I'm standing just outside the emergency wing of Fort Pierce General, and the scene here is unlike anything I've seen before. Every available ambulance bay is filled, there are tents in the parking lot to handle overflow, and emergency workers, many wearing full protective gear, are moving nonstop. Doctors tell me they've stopped counting the number of patients coming in. Every few minutes, another vehicle arrives, sometimes private cars with entire families inside, all coughing, feverish, terrified. The hospital's backup generators are running, and they're rationing oxygen tanks and IV supplies. Staff are exhausted, and some are falling ill themselves. There's growing concern about containment. I've spoken to paramedics who've been told to disinfect all gear and currency after every shift. One nurse told me bluntly, money's the real carrier. Authorities haven't confirmed that, but people are starting to avoid cash transactions altogether. Local law enforcement is trying to keep order, but emotions are running high. Families are begging to be let in. Some are being turned away because there's simply no room. There's a small CDC team here, but even they look overwhelmed. Supplies are dwindling, they're focusing on critical cases only, and there's talk that more field hospitals may be set up near the interstate. What's most striking is the silence from higher up. No clear national directive yet. Everyone here is doing what they can, but you can feel it in the air. This is starting to spiral. For now, Fort Pierce General is still standing. But if these numbers keep climbing, I don't know how long they can hold out.
Some early reports suggest that a local laboratory may have been conducting experimental research related to infectious diseases, but this has not been confirmed. Officials emphasize that panic is unnecessary and the public should continue normal daily activities while staying informed through official channels.
911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, I'm at the Greyhound station downtown. People were going crazy here, man. There's this guy. He started puking all over the floor. Then he just started biting people.
Sir, slow down. Did you say someone was biting people?
Yes, I swear to God. He lost at this woman like an animal. There's blood everywhere. Security tried to pull him off and he wouldn't stop. He's not even talking. He's just growling.
Okay, sir. Listen carefully. Are you injured?
No, I ran into the service hallway. I'm hiding behind the vending machines, but I can still hear them screaming out there. Oh God, there's another one. It's like 3 of them now. They're attacking everyone.
Sir, I need you to stay where you are. Officers and paramedics are en route. Can you lock yourself in somewhere?
There's a storage door. Hold on. Okay, I'm inside. There's a kid in here too. He's hiding under the desk. He says his mom, she's one of them now.
Okay, just stay calm. Keep the child quiet. Help is coming.
There's a pounding noise. It rubs against the door. Oh no, they heard us. They're hitting the door. How the hell are they that strong?
Stay away from a door. Officers are less than 2 minutes.
They're inside. Oh God. Oh God.
I'm outside a neighborhood in Fort Pierce, and the atmosphere here is tense. Families are boarding up windows. Streets are eerily empty, with only emergency vehicles moving. Witnesses describe friends and neighbors succumbing to sudden violent illness, and the mood is one of fear. Authorities are trying to contain the outbreak, but with so many infected on the streets, It's clear that this crisis is far from over. What we're seeing here is unprecedented, says Dr. Marianne Colton of the CDC. This virus is highly contagious and aggressive. It spreads through contact with bodily fluids, and incubation seems to be extremely rapid, sometimes just hours. Our priority is to limit exposure and understand the virus as quickly as possible. The situation in Fort Pierce is still developing. Stay tuned to local news outlets and official channels for updates, and follow all instructions from health authorities to protect yourself and your family.
Good evening. We have new developments in Fort Pierce, where what was initially reported as a local illness is now escalating into a serious public health emergency. Hospitals in the area are reporting overwhelming numbers of patients exhibiting extreme symptoms, including violent and erratic behavior. Authorities now confirm that human-to-human transmission has occurred, and first responders warn the public to avoid contact with the sick. Some residents report seeing patients suddenly become aggressive and attack others, leaving communities in fear. Local law enforcement is struggling to maintain order as emergency calls spike. Several hospitals have implemented lockdowns, and additional personnel from the state and federal government have arrived to assist. Residents are urged to stay indoors unless absolutely necessary, and officials warn that the situation could worsen.
Thank you. At this time, we are investigating a cluster of cases involving extreme aggression and neurological symptoms. The pathogen appears to be viral in nature, though we are still analyzing its properties. While we are monitoring the situation closely, there is no need for panic at this stage. The CDC has deployed rapid response teams to Fort Pierce and surrounding areas to contain the infection.
Are there any indications of human-to-human transmission?
Yes. Preliminary findings suggest that direct contact with infected bodily fluids is the primary mode of transmission. Casual contact appears to pose low risk, but we are advising residents to avoid contact with symptomatic individuals until we understand the virus better. Hospitals are prepared, and we are collaborating with local authorities to manage containment.
Can you comment on the reports of extreme behavior, attacks on neighbors, and emergency responders?
Those reports are being taken very seriously. We are documenting behavioral anomalies in patients, but again, these are early stages. The situation is evolving, and we are committed to providing updates as new information becomes available. For now, following CDC safety guidelines is the best way for the public to remain safe.
Thank you, Dr. Price. Any final advice for people watching at home?
Remain vigilant. Limit exposure to unknown sick individuals. Report any unusual symptoms immediately and follow official guidance from local health authorities. We are doing everything possible to contain the outbreak. "911, what's your emergency?"
This is Officer Daniels. Batch number 4582. We need backup on Monroe and A. Multiple civilians down, attacking, biting each other. They're not responding to commands.
Copy that, Officer Daniels. How many are injured?
I don't even know. We had a wreck. One of them pulled the driver out of the car and... Jesus, he's tearing into him. We tried using pepper spray and it did nothing.
Understood. Hold your position. Additional units are en route.
No, you don't care. These people, whatever this is, it's not drugs, it's not a riot. They're infected. I shot one of them in the leg. He just kept coming. He didn't even slow down.
Officer Daniels, do you copy?
Copy. My partner, he's down. He got bit. He's bleeding bad. He's shaking. I don't... Oh, no. His eyes are going white.
Officer, you need to move. Get out of there.
I can't. He's my partner.
Officer Daniels, do you copy? Good evening. The green flu outbreak that began in Fort Pierce has now spread across much of Florida.
prompting statewide emergency measures. Hospitals are overwhelmed, with many forced to turn away patients as resources dwindle. The Florida Department of Health has declared a state of emergency, and the National Guard has been deployed to assist with containment efforts. Officials report that the infected exhibit extreme aggression and unusual strength, often attacking family members and neighbors, making the situation even more dangerous. Local authorities have imposed mandatory quarantines in several counties, restricting travel in and out of affected areas. Public fear is mounting as communications with some towns have been cut off. Roads leading out of cities are congested, with residents attempting to flee the outbreak. Authorities warn that anyone attempting to evade quarantine may be putting themselves and others at severe risk.
I'm here in one of the quarantine zones in Fort Pierce, and the scene is chaotic. Emergency workers are struggling to maintain order as terrified residents attempt to escape. Families have been separated, and there are reports of violent confrontations with the National Guard. This is a dire situation, and officials continue to urge the public to comply with evacuation and quarantine instructions.
Florida remains under strict quarantine, with authorities warning that the green flu is highly contagious and extremely dangerous. Citizens are advised to avoid all contact with infected individuals and report any suspected cases to local authorities immediately. We will continue to bring live updates as the situation develops.
Containment efforts are ongoing. But yes, the virus is moving faster than expected. Hospitals are reporting atypical behavioral symptoms in infected individuals, including extreme aggression and unpredictable actions. These cases suggest the pathogen is evolving rapidly.
There are rumors of new types of infected, some behaving differently than standard cases. Can you comment?
We've observed anomalies in certain patients, heightened strength, erratic movement, and unusual responses to stimuli. These are early indicators that the virus may be undergoing mutations affecting neurological and muscular function. At this point, the medical community is studying these variants closely, but labeling them as early, non-standard strains that we are still gathering data.
Should the public be worried about these mutations?
The risk remains primarily through direct contact. However, because the virus is evolving in real time, people should be extremely cautious. Local authorities are increasing quarantine zones and advising residents to stay indoors and avoid all contact with symptomatic individuals.
Any advice for emergency responders in the field?
Protective gear is essential. Limit exposure, avoid close physical contact unless necessary, and report unique cases immediately. This virus is unpredictable, and safety protocols must be strictly followed.
Good evening. The green flu outbreak that began in Fort Pierce, Florida, is now affecting multiple states across the southeastern United States. Reports indicate confirmed cases in Georgia, Alabama, and the Carolinas. Authorities say the virus spreads extremely quickly, leaving local governments struggling to maintain order and provide medical care. Hospitals in affected areas are overwhelmed and understaffed, with many unable to treat the influx of infected patients. Emergency response teams are stretched thin, and National Guard units are now being deployed across state lines in an effort to contain the virus. Authorities report violent outbreaks in several urban areas where infected individuals have attacked family members, neighbors, and emergency responders. Cities are beginning to implement curfews and mandatory lockdowns, while federal agencies work to coordinate resources and medical personnel.
I'm in Savannah, Georgia, where streets are eerily empty. Businesses are shuttered, and National Guard units are patrolling neighborhoods to enforce quarantine measures. Residents speak of friends and families succumbing to the illness with terrifying rapidity. The fear is palpable, and many have chosen to barricade themselves in their homes.
This virus is unprecedented in its speed, aggression, and lethality, says Dr. Laura Kemp, epidemiologist with the CDC. Containment is proving almost impossible as the virus spreads faster than we can respond. We are urging the public to heed all official warnings and avoid all contact with infected individuals. The federal government continues to monitor the situation closely. Citizens are advised to stay informed, follow all quarantine instructions, and prepare for potential long-term disruptions to transportation, healthcare, and public services.
The virus is behaving unlike any pathogen we've encountered. It spreads rapidly, with some patients turning aggressive within hours of exposure. Containment is our primary goal, but the mobility of the population is making that extremely difficult.
"911, what's your emergency?"
They told us to come to the bridge for evacuation, but oh my god, it's chaos. There's thousands of people here, cars everywhere.
"Ma'am, please calm down. Are you injured?"
No, but there's people attacking the soldiers. They just started running at them. They're not even human anymore. They're covered in blood. They don't stop.
"Ma'am, listen to me. Get to cover immediately. Do not engage with anyone who appears sick or violent."
We can't move. The cars are jammed. People are trying to climb over each other. There's a man. He's on fire. Oh God, he's on fire. They're on the bridge. They're everywhere. The soldiers are shooting, but they just keep coming. There's a helicopter. Oh my God, it's spinning.
"Ma'am, are you there? Do you copy?"
They said it was just a flu. Just a flu.
Good evening. The Green Flu outbreak has now reached major urban centers along the East Coast, with confirmed cases in Jacksonville, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Washington, D.C. Hospitals are overwhelmed, emergency services are failing, and authorities warn that normal life is effectively suspended in many areas. Eyewitnesses report chaotic scenes in city streets with infected individuals attacking civilians and first responders alike. Law enforcement and National Guard units are struggling to maintain order, and several cities have enacted curfews, martial law, and citywide lockdowns. Public transportation has largely ceased, and supplies of food, medicine, and water are becoming scarce in quarantined areas. Evacuation efforts are underway, but often hampered by the rapid spread of the virus.
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, where the streets are empty except for emergency vehicles. Hospitals are full beyond capacity, and makeshift triage centers are being set up in public buildings. Residents describe frantic attempts to flee the city, while others barricade themselves in their homes. The fear is tangible, and authorities warn that the situation could deteriorate further.
The federal government is coordinating resources and urging citizens to remain calm, though officials acknowledge the gravity of the situation. As the outbreak spreads, the United States faces an unprecedented public health crisis unlike anything in modern history.
Anybody out there? Can you hear me? This is Frank. Yeah, Frank Miller. I'm holed up in what used to be Jefferson Grocery, across from the big gas station. I got supplies for maybe 3 days, maybe 4. I don't know if anyone's still out there. Look, if someone's listening, I I saw something last night. Something weird. Not like the usual ones. I was on the roof trying to, get a better look. Green fog rolling over the street, and it moved. It didn't walk, it didn't run, it just glided. And when it got close, my flashlight hit it and it disappeared behind a car like it didn't exist. Anyway, I'm marking this spot, Jefferson Grocery. Supplies, water. Maybe safe, maybe not. If anyone's alive, radio me back. Call sign, Miller. Over.
Sheriff Dalton, thank you for speaking with us. People are scared and they're hearing conflicting information. Can you tell the public plainly, how do you stop one of these infected?
Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. These folks, neighbors, co-workers, once that green flu hits them hard, they stop acting like people. They come at you fast. They don't feel pain like we do, and they don't respond to commands. They ain't invincible.
So what's the actual method? How does someone protect themselves?
You gotta aim for center mass first to slow them down. These infected will sprint, climb, tackle you right to the ground. Putting a couple rounds into the torso knocks them off balance, buys you a second.
What about finishing the job?
Headshots. There's no gentler way to say it. You want them to stay down, you put a round through the head. They don't drop from pain or fear, only when the brain stops functioning. Same goes for blunt weapons. Baseball bat, fire axe, crowbar. You get in close, you hit hard, you hit the head.
And if someone doesn't have a weapon?
And avoid them at all costs. The infected, we call them runners now. They travel in packs. They swarm real fast. One-on-one, you might shove one off you. But 2 or 3, get it.
Sheriff, we're hearing rumors that the infected can climb or leap farther than normal people. Is that accurate?
Yeah, they push their bodies past normal limits. You'll see them scrambling up walls, jumping barricades. Adrenaline overrides all their pain response. They burn themselves out doing it, but they won't stop till they're dead.
And is there anything else civilians should know?
Yeah, don't try to reason with them. Don't call their names. Don't hesitate. Once they're infected, they're gone. If one breaks into your home, don't scream, don't freeze, act. Go for the head, get away, and seal the door.
And what about the mutated infected we're hearing about?
That's another conversation. Those things are a whole different category. For now, just know whatever you knew about the infected yesterday ain't true today.
So to summarize, center mass to slow them and headshots to stop them.
That's right. Keep your distance, stay quiet, stay aware. God help you if you run into more than one.
Good evening. The green flu outbreak is no longer confined to the southeastern United States. Cases have now been reported in multiple regions nationwide, prompting the federal government to declare a national public health emergency. Cities across the country are enacting emergency measures to protect their residents, but officials warn that containment is increasingly unlikely. Hospitals are operating beyond capacity, and there are widespread reports of panic, looting, and violent encounters between infected individuals and civilians. Emergency responders are stretched to the breaking point, and supplies of essential goods are dwindling.
I'm reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, where the city is under strict curfew. The streets are largely deserted, with only emergency vehicles patrolling. Residents describe neighbors turning violent after showing initial flu-like symptoms, and hospitals are forced to turn patients away due to lack of space and staff. People are barricading themselves in homes, but many are choosing to flee, sometimes into areas that are just as dangerous.
The federal government continues to coordinate response efforts, including military deployments and emergency aid. Authorities urge citizens to follow all instructions carefully. Stay indoors where possible and avoid any exposure to infected individuals. The situation remains critical and is expected to worsen in the coming days.
The green flu demonstrates extreme infectivity and aggression, with some individuals experiencing near immediate behavioral changes. This is a fast-moving crisis. People need to prepare for long-term disruptions, including shortages of food, medicine, and utilities. Avoiding contact with the infected is currently the only means of survival.
911, what's your emergency? Hello? Can you hear me?
Mom's sick. She won't wake up.
Okay, sweetheart. It's okay. What's your name?
Evan.
All right, Evan. Can you tell me where you are?
I'm in my house. I don't know if I should open the door. There's people outside. They keep hitting the windows. They're making those noises like Mom did.
Okay, Evan, listen to me. Stay quiet. Don't open any doors or windows. Hide somewhere safe, okay? Hold on, Evan. Just stay on the line.
They're through the west entrance. We gotta move.
Evan? You still there?
I can hear them inside now. They sound angry.
Seattle Command, this is Last Station. We're overrun. I repeat, we're...
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. You're not alone, okay? Just keep talking to me, please. This line is no longer in service. Please contact your local emergency services. This line is no longer in service. Please contact your local emergency services. This line is no longer in service. Please contact your local emergency services.
Hello? Dr. Rao, hospitals in Florida are reporting unusual patients, some with extreme aggression and erratic behavior. Can you explain what's happening?
Yes, we are now observing non-standard infected emerging. These individuals display unpredictable neurological responses, enhanced strength, and altered behavior patterns. Some patients appear to react to stimuli in ways we've never documented in previous outbreaks. These are not standard cases, and we're concerned about the virus's rapid mutation rate.
There are reports of what some are calling super aggressive infected. Is that accurate?
Correct. We are seeing highly mobile, highly aggressive subjects that traditional containment methods struggle to manage. These may include individuals previously infected who've undergone further viral mutation. We are attempting to document and track these cases, but the situation is escalating quickly.
What does this mean for public safety?
Residents should assume any symptomatic individual is extremely dangerous. Direct contact is highly risky, and even previously contained areas may no longer be secure. Emergency protocols have been updated, and military support is being coordinated to assist with containment and evacuation.
Any advice for people still in urban areas?
Stay indoors, avoid all contact, and report unusual behavior immediately. We urge everyone to treat all infected with extreme caution. This virus is evolving at an unprecedented pace. Hello? Anybody out there? This is Elena Torres. I'm at the Jacksonville Zoo. Yes, the zoo. I don't know how long I can stay here. Most of the gates are down. The animals, well, some of them are gone. Some are not right. Listen, I've been marking safe rooms in the primate house and the old reptile pavilion. If anyone can make it here, there's some water and cages we can barricade. But there's something I've never seen before. It moves like the others, but it screams like an animal, and it's fast. Don't know if it's, I don't know, a mutation or something else. If anyone hears me, mark the zoo. Keep your distance, but if you can, we could help each other. I'll keep the channel open. Call sign, Zoo. Over. Good evening. The green flu outbreak has now reached a nationwide crisis, with reports of infected individuals appearing in nearly every state. Large urban centers are in chaos. Rural areas are seeing the virus spread unchecked, and the federal government has issued mandatory nationwide emergency protocols. Hospitals are at full capacity or non-operational, with medical personnel either overwhelmed or infected. Reports of massive outbreaks in evacuation centers have forced authorities to reconsider relocation strategies. Cities are now effectively abandoned in some regions, and the National Guard and military are focusing on establishing safe zones rather than full containment.
I'm in a makeshift safe zone outside Atlanta, Georgia. Thousands of refugees have gathered here after fleeing infected areas. Resources are limited, and tension is high among those seeking safety. Outside the perimeter, the infected roam freely, attacking anyone attempting to move between zones. Families are being separated, and desperation is mounting.
The situation across the country remains critical. Citizens are urged to stay within designated safe zones, avoid infected individuals at all costs, and follow instructions from military and emergency personnel. The outbreak shows no signs of slowing, and large-scale disruptions to daily life are expected to continue for the foreseeable future. I'm Dr. Sanders. The green flu is proving nearly impossible to contain. With extreme infectivity, rapid onset of aggression, and resilience in the infected, what we are witnessing is a full-scale societal collapse. Survival now depends on avoidance, fortified shelters, and strict hygiene measures. There is currently no treatment or cure.
Anyone listening? This is Mark. I'm moving through the old residential blocks near Pine Street. Houses are empty. Well, mostly. I've been marking safe paths. Streets clear enough for travel. But I saw something not right. It's big, taller than a man. Skin's pale, but it's all stretched. Muscles look wrong. It doesn't walk normally. It crawls on all fours like it's broken and bending, but fast. It screams like it's in pain, and then it calls others. Not growls, like a distorted human scream. I barely got away. I think it followed me halfway down Cedar. Be careful if anyone's out there. Call sign Pine Street. Over.
Yes, hospitals in multiple regions are over capacity. We are now seeing not just standard infected, but highly mutated subjects, some exhibiting extreme strength, erratic movement, and abnormal cognitive patterns. Staff are stretched thin, and containment protocols are no longer fully effective. We are calling in military support to assist with evacuation and perimeter security.
There are also reports of infected behaving in highly coordinated ways. Is that accurate?
We are documenting instances where infected appear to respond to each other, forming aggressive groups and targeting survivors with unusual persistence. These observations indicate the virus may be altering behavioral patterns collectively, which is unprecedented. This further complicates containment.
What is the CDC advising for civilians at this stage?
Stay indoors. Avoid all contact with infected. If you can, move to designated safe zones or shelters. The virus has mutated beyond initial containment parameters. We urge extreme caution and adherence to official instructions.
Is there any hope of containment at this point?
Containment is increasingly difficult, but efforts continue. Research teams are working around the clock to understand the mutations and develop interventions. However, survival depends heavily on civilians following strict safety measures.
Hello? Hello? Is anyone out there? This is Jess. I don't know if anyone's alive. I don't care if you're listening. I need to talk to someone. It's insane out here. People are gone. Streets are full of things. The screaming, the running, everything's upside down. I saw a woman last night. Didn't look human. She was crouched in the shadows, eyes glowing, screaming like she was dying and laughing at the same time. And then she just disappeared. I don't know what's happening. It's not even real anymore. I've got water, some canned stuff. I don't know how long it'll last. If anyone can hear me, just respond. Anyone, please. Call sign Harper. Over. Over.
Good evening. The green flu outbreak has left much of the United States overrun. Only a few military-designated safe zones remain operational, providing refuge for survivors. Cities and towns outside these zones are considered extremely high-risk areas, with widespread infection and violent outbreaks reported. Authorities report that while these safe zones are fortified, they face constant pressure from infected individuals attempting to breach defenses. Supplies are scarce, and survivors are living under strict rationing. Evacuation efforts continue, but the virus's rapid spread and unpredictable behavior have made large-scale rescue operations nearly impossible.
I'm here at one of the remaining safe zones outside Charlotte, North Carolina. Thousands of refugees have arrived in the last week, overwhelming the limited resources available. Military personnel are enforcing strict security, but fear is high. Many residents speak of losing family members to the infected and of the constant threat posed by those who may still be turning violently ill.
The outbreak shows no signs of abating. Citizens in these remaining zones are urged to remain vigilant and follow military instructions at all times. The nation's population has been decimated, and survival has become the primary concern for all those left alive. The virus has proven incredibly adaptive, with some reports suggesting reinfection and rapid mutation among the infected. These safe zones are our last line of defense. Survival depends on maintaining strict hygiene, avoiding contact with infected individuals, and careful management of resources.
Any survivors listening? This is Sam Whitaker. I'm in the remains of the Riverview Apartments. Floor 3 is secure enough for now. Water's not great, but it's drinkable if you filter it. Cans in the lobby, not looted. Yet. I'm marking this as a potential safe house. Call sign, Riverview. Something else. Something not normal. I saw it last night. Crawled out from under the stairwell. Pale, twisted limbs. Long fingers. Couldn't see its face properly, but it had eyes. Eyes. Not like the usual infected. And it moved in jerks. Like it was jerking on wires or puppets. Didn't hear it scream, but it hissed. Like air escaping a balloon. Anyone coming this way, avoid the stairwells. The main hall is clear for now. If you can reach me, I'll try to coordinate a safe route through the complex. Riverview, over and out.
Good evening. Months after the initial outbreak of the green flu, the United States is radically changed. The majority of urban centers have been abandoned, and the infected roam freely in much of the country. Only isolated safe zones, maintained by military forces, continue to provide shelter for survivors. Authorities report that these zones remain under constant threat, with small incursions by the infected forcing survivors to stay vigilant. Supplies are limited and rationing continues. Communication with the outside world is sporadic, and long-term recovery efforts are on hold as the nation struggles just to survive.
I'm at a safe zone in rural North Carolina. Life here is harsh but organized. Residents are building barricades, foraging for food, and keeping watch for infected outside the perimeter. Many survivors are traumatized, having lost friends and family in the chaos, yet they persist, clinging to hope in an uncertain world. The sense of normalcy is gone, replaced by a constant fight for survival. The green flu has fundamentally altered human society. Dr. Richard Halstead of the CDC. The virus's infectivity, aggression, and resilience have caused near-total societal collapse. Survivors face an ongoing struggle, and the future remains uncertain. There is currently no cure or definitive method to eliminate the infected population.
As the nation adjusts to this new reality, survival depends on caution, preparation, and solidarity among those still alive. The green flu has reshaped America, leaving behind a world where vigilance, fortification, and community are the keys to enduring the days ahead. For now, the infected continue to roam, and humanity's fight for survival goes on.
My fellow Americans, thank you for joining us. We are facing a situation unlike anything we've ever dealt with before. It's a very serious outbreak, very serious. And I want everyone to understand we are working around the clock, all day, all night. Tremendous people doing tremendous work. We have a virus, the green flu, spreading faster than anything in modern history. It mutates, it behaves unpredictably, and in some cases, very dangerously. Many of you have seen the reports. Some of these infected individuals are showing things no virus has ever caused before. Strength, agitation, extreme behavior. We're studying it. We're on it. Now, Florida. Let me be very clear. Florida is experiencing an extremely bad situation. The worst so far. The military has done an incredible job. Absolutely incredible. But the infected there are unlike anything we've seen in other states. Mutated, aggressive, hard to contain. Because of that, containment has failed in several areas. So tonight, I am ordering a full federal evacuation corridor. Anyone not already infected, you must move north immediately. Follow official routes. Follow military instructions. No exceptions. We're also enacting a nationwide curfew. This is temporary. This is necessary. We will slow the spread. We will keep as many people safe as possible. We have the best scientists, the best working on this. The CDC, the military, private labs, everyone is cooperating like never before. I know you're scared. I know many of you are seeing things out there that don't make sense. People changing, behaving like animals. Some even worse. Believe me, I've seen the reports too. I hear everything. But we're strong. We're Americans and we will beat this. We beat everything. We always do. Stay indoors. Follow instructions. Protect your families. Help your neighbors. Pray for our country because the next few days will be difficult. They will be very difficult. We are a great nation and together we will survive this. Thank you.
Well, howdy, y'all. Name's Earl, broadcasting from Safe Zone Charlie. First off, let me tell you about my buddy Carl. Yeah, Crazy Carl. Don't ask why, because that's just his name. This morning, he decided it'd be a great idea to ride a shopping cart down a hill, right into a pack of, them running things. Runners, boomers, whatever you want to call them. Wouldn't you know, Carl comes out of that mess grinning, not a scratch on him, just a little windblown and covered in the green stuff. I swear, I asked him, I said, Carl, what in tarnation were you thinking? And he goes, Earl, I figured I'd save myself some gas money. Gas money, folks. Anyway, if you listening and thinking...
Command, this is Echo 7. Do you copy? Anyone? Please respond. Okay. Gonna try again. I'm pinned inside the North Side Distribution Center, Sector K. Mission, supply recovery. Medical crates. Clean bandages. Nothing heavy. Should have been in and out. But they're everywhere in here. The whole place is quiet when we came in. Then the lights blew. Next thing I know, Carter's gone. No scream, no gunshot, just gone. I've got movement on the second tier. Something's tracking me. Sounds heavier than a runner. Slower and careful. Command, if you can hear this, I'm heading to the loading bay. Need eyes, need backup, need anything. Damn it, no! They're in the rafters! I repeat, infected are above me, coming down through the ventilation grates. Get back! Command, Echo 7, taking damage. Hunter variant came out of nowhere. One down, more coming. I hear our whole damn back. Command, if anyone receives this, do not send another team here. The building is compromised. They're nesting inside the walls. I'm heading for the roof. Try bacon, flare. If the chopper's still in the air, if not, just tell my unit I tried. I got visual. The streets are full. Jesus. They're swarming every exit. No way out. No clear shot for evac. Seven. Last. No position. North side distribution center roof. Flares active. I'm gonna hold as long as I can. For what it's worth, we should have pulled out of the city weeks ago.
Well, hey there again, folks. Earl here, still holding down Safe Zone Charlie. Y'all ain't gonna believe what Carl done got himself into today. So Carl, crazy Carl, the same genius from yesterday, he decides he's gonna sneak up on one of them boomers. You know, the big green ones that blow up all nasty. Carl thinks he's smart, tries to throw a rock at it to distract him. Well, it worked for about 2 seconds. Then the boomer goes off, covers him head to toe in that, I'll just call it slime apocalypse goo. What does Carl do? He starts rolling down the hill laughing, yelling at me, "Earl, I'm feeling slippery and free." Meanwhile, I'm behind cover laughing, thinking I'm safe, until a pack of runners decides they want to join the party. Carl's out there slipping and sliding, kicking one runner in the head like it's a soccer ball. I swear I've never seen anyone survive that kind of chaos and still be smiling. Anyway, y'all take my advice. Don't be Carl. But if you see him, give him a wave. Or hide. Probably hide. He was lucky I didn't drag him back in a body bag yesterday, and I ain't getting...
This is Marianne Holt, formerly of WZVN News. If you can hear this broadcast, if your radio still works, you're listening to what's left of our newsroom, or what's left of me anyway. According to every operational military channel I've scanned, the United States is officially dark. No federal transmissions in over 80 days. No troop movement detected. No evacuation orders. Just silence. I've been moving between abandoned relay stations for months, trying to piece together what's left of our country. And here's everything I can confirm. The green flu burned across the continents faster than any hope we had. Cities are gone. Entire states are ghost zones. The coasts fell first, then the Midland transport corridors failed, cutting the nation into isolated pockets of survivors. The military fought hard, harder than we ever saw on the news while the world still had news. But once the new mutations appeared, the specials, they tore straight through fortified lines. Florida was the last major stronghold to collapse outright. After that, everyone was on their own. I've intercepted scattered transmissions across the country. Some are hoaxes, some are automated, but a few seem real. Appalachian Safe Route. Mentions of a network of tunnels and mines being used for shelter. The Great Lakes Enclave, a group claiming to hold part of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Red River Refuge, possible military remnant stationed within the Dakotas. Vegas Burn Zone. Rumors say the infected there behave differently. I cannot confirm. If anyone can verify these sites, please relay confirmation. Activity patterns have changed since the fall. Less coordinated, more territorial. The common infected roam in smaller groups now, but the specials, they're evolving, or devolving, depending on how you look at it. I witnessed a witch 2 nights ago. She barely moved, just sat in the ruins, keening, like she remembered something. I kept my distance. She didn't even turn her head. Boomers seem to travel in pairs now, and hunters have been seen scaling higher structures than before. If you're hearing this, if anyone is hearing this, you're not alone. There are still pockets of us out here. We're still fighting, still searching, still hoping. This is Marianne Holt, once a news anchor, now just another survivor doing what she can.
Hey y'all, Earl here, Safe Zone Charlie again. I swear I don't know how I'm still alive, but let me tell you what Carl's up to now. That boy, Crazy Carl, he's got himself a cat army. Yeah, cats. Apparently he thinks if he sets a bunch of cats out on the street to distract the infected. I don't know. Logic's never been his strong suit. So I look out the window and there's Carl, throwing catnip like it's holy water, yelling, "Go get 'em, Fluffy! Take that, you green monsters!" I swear, but those cats actually ran right into runners. Carl's laughing so hard he falls off the roof onto a dumpster. And somehow he climbs right back up like it's nothing. I don't know if I should cry or laugh, or both. So, if you hear a lot of screeching and see a cat launching at you, don't worry. That's just Carl's genius playing in action. Something like that.
This is Daniel Rothman. You're listening to 1004.7 FM at 6:47 in the morning, April 16th, and I'm sitting here in the studio with my second cup of coffee that's already gone cold. Emily just handed me something. A report. Local hospital in Millwood, about 40 miles northeast of us. She's got this look on her face like she doesn't believe what she's reading. Apparently there was an incident last night. Animal attack. Wild boar came into town around 7, 8 o'clock yesterday evening. Collapsed right there on Main Street in front of the hardware store. People gathered around it, thought it was sick or dying. Then it got back up, started going after people. Witnesses say it was moving strangely, erratically. Hit 3 people before animal control and a couple of guys with rifles put it down for good. The 3 victims were taken to Millwood Community Clinic for treatment. Now, here's where it gets strange. Emily's reading me updates from the night shift at that clinic, and apparently all 3 bite victims developed severe symptoms within hours. High fever, convulsions, extreme aggression. The clinic staff sedated them, started them on antibiotics and rabies protocol, standard procedure for animal attacks. But the fever wouldn't break. By midnight, all 3 had gone into cardiac arrest. Doctors pronounced them dead. I'm reading this and thinking, tragic, awful, but not exactly news we'd lead with on a Thursday morning. Then Emily shows me the rest. 20 minutes after being pronounced dead, all 3 patients regained consciousness, but not consciousness exactly. They attacked the medical staff, attacked their own families who were in the waiting room. 4 doctors, 2 nurses, and at least 6 family members were bitten or scratched before security managed to lock the victims in the examination rooms. The clinic went into lockdown around 1 in the morning. Local police are there now. The report says the situation is contained, but they're requesting additional medical personnel and hazmat teams. They think it might be some kind of severe rabies variant, or maybe something in the boar system, some kind of bacterial infection they haven't identified yet. Emily's getting more calls. Hold on. She's telling me there are reports of more animal sightings in Millwood. Foxes, deer, acting strangely aggressive. 1 deer crashed through a living room window on the north side of town about an hour ago. Homeowner shot it, said it kept trying to get up even after being hit multiple times. Fish and Wildlife is investigating the forest area east of Millwood. There's an old site out there, some kind of industrial property from the 70s that was closed down and fenced off. They're wondering if there's contamination, maybe chemical runoff getting into the groundwater. I'm trying to piece this together for you because honestly, it's not entirely clear what's happening. We have sick animals, we have bite victims who died and then apparently woke up violent and confused. We have a small town clinic in lockdown, and we have state agencies trying to figure out if there's an environmental hazard. It's 6:52 now. I'll keep you updated as we learn more. If you're in the Millwood area or near the eastern forest region, authorities are asking you to stay indoors and report any aggressive wildlife immediately. Let me take a breath here. Traffic's light this morning, which is normal for Thursday. Weather's clear. Temperature's going to hit about 68 today. It's a beautiful spring morning, and I'm sitting here reading about dead people attacking nurses. I don't know what to make of it. Emily's on the phone again. She's talking to someone at the state health department. She's shaking her head. They're sending a team to Millwood, but they won't arrive until this afternoon. The CDC has been notified, but they're treating it as a possible rabies outbreak for now, nothing more urgent. The hospital in the county seat, about 20 miles from Millwood, has been put on alert to receive patients if the situation escalates. But everyone seems to think this is contained. Small town, isolated incident, unusual but manageable. I want to believe that. I do. But there's something about the details that's bothering me, the speed of it. Bite victims dying within hours, coming back violent within minutes of death. That's not rabies. Rabies takes days, sometimes weeks. And rabies victims don't die and reanimate. They just don't. So what are we dealing with? Emily just told me the clinic in Millwood has requested a complete quarantine of the building. Nobody in or out until the hazmat team arrives. The people who were bitten during the initial attack, the medical staff and family members, they're showing symptoms already. Fever, disorientation. It's been less than 6 hours since they were exposed. Whatever this is, it moves fast. I'm going to read you something directly from the report Emily has in front of her. This is from the Millwood Police Chief, sent at 5:30 this morning. Situation at clinic is beyond our training and resources. Initial 3 patients are extremely violent and do not respond to verbal commands or pain compliance techniques. They appear to have no recognition of family or staff, attempting to bite and scratch anyone who approaches. Additional 9 people now showing similar symptoms after exposure to initial 3. Request immediate state and federal assistance. That was sent almost 90 minutes ago. I don't know what the response has been. Emily's trying to get through to someone who can give us more information, but everyone's either in meetings or in transit to Millwood. We're hitting a wall here in terms of real answers. It's 7:02. Let me tell you what we know for certain. There was an animal attack in Millwood yesterday evening. A wild boar. 3 people were bitten. They died and then became violent. 9 more people were injured by those 3. The clinic is in lockdown. Authorities suspect environmental contamination, possibly from an old industrial site in the nearby forest. State agencies are responding, but slowly. That's what we know. What we don't know is what caused this. We don't know if it's contagious beyond direct blood contact. We don't know if the people in that clinic can be helped. We don't know if there are more infected animals in the forest. We don't know if this is going to stay contained to Millwood or if it's going to spread. I can hear myself, and I know I sound worried. I am. This is strange. This is outside normal parameters for anything I've covered in 18 years of broadcasting. Emily's looking at me like she wants me to say something reassuring, but I don't know what that would be right now. Hold on, Emily's got another update. She's reading it. There's been another animal incident, this time in Ashford, which is about 15 miles southwest of Millwood. Foxes, 3 of them, attacked a farmer in his barn around dawn. He managed to get to his truck and drive to the emergency room. He's being treated now. The foxes apparently followed him part of the way, chasing his vehicle. State police shot all 3 animals. They're being sent for testing. So now we have 2 towns, 2 separate incidents, Millwood and Ashford. Both involve wildlife from forest areas. Both involve unusual aggression and behavioral changes in animals. The health department is now saying this could be a regional contamination event affecting wildlife across multiple counties. They're advising people in rural areas to avoid contact with any wild animals and to report sightings immediately. I'm looking at a map here. Millwood and Ashford are on opposite sides of the Eastern Forest Preserve. That's about 30 square miles of protected woodland. If there's something in that forest, something in the water or soil that's affecting animals, then we could be looking at a much larger problem than one clinic in one small town. It's 7:11 now. The sun's been up for about an hour. People are getting ready for work. taking kids to school, starting their normal Thursday routines. And somewhere out there in the forest, something is very wrong. Animals are sick, people are sick, and nobody seems to know exactly what's happening or how to stop it. Emily just got word that the elementary school in Millwood has canceled classes for today. Parents were notified by automated message about 20 minutes ago. The official reason given is ongoing public health investigation. That's good. That's the right move. Keep kids home, keep people inside until we understand what we're dealing with. I'm going to take a short break, get some water, see if Emily can get anyone from the State Health Department on the line. We'll be right back. We're back at 7:19, and I've got Dr. Sarah Chen from the State Health Department on the line. Emily's patching her through now, but she's on another call. She'll be with us in just a moment. While we wait, let me tell you what else we're hearing. The hazmat team that was supposed to arrive in Millwood this afternoon has been bumped up to priority response. They're en route now, should arrive within the hour. The National Guard has been notified and is on standby. Nobody's using the word emergency yet officially, but the response suggests this is being taken very seriously at the state level. Dr. Chen isn't available yet. Emily's telling me she's in a briefing that's running long. We'll try to get her later. In the meantime, I want to talk about this old industrial site that keeps being mentioned. Emily did some digging in her archive. Back in 1974, there was a government contractor that operated a facility in the eastern forest area. They handled various materials for the nuclear industry. The facility was shut down in 1981 after some kind of regulatory violation. The site was supposedly cleaned up and sealed, but there were concerns at the time that the cleanup wasn't thorough. Local environmental groups raised objections. There were a few news stories about it in the early 80s. Then it fell off the radar. The land was fenced off and forgotten. If that site is leaking now, if nuclear waste or contaminated material has been seeping into the groundwater for years, decades even, then we could be looking at radiation exposure. But radiation doesn't cause animals to become aggressive and attack people. Radiation causes cancer, tissue damage, acute sickness. It doesn't cause behavioral changes like what's being reported, unless we're talking about mutation. Radiation can cause genetic mutations, can affect microorganisms, bacteria, viruses. If something in that soil or water has mutated, if bacteria or some kind of pathogen has been altered by long-term radiation exposure, then maybe possibly we're looking at a new kind of infection, something that affects the nervous system rapidly, causes extreme aggression, shuts down higher brain function. I'm speculating now. I want to be clear about that. I'm not a scientist. I'm a radio host trying to make sense of incomplete information. But the pieces are there. Old nuclear site, contamination. Sick animals, rapidly spreading infection that causes death and violent reanimation. It sounds like something from a movie, but it's happening right now 40 miles from where I'm sitting. It's 7:28. Emily's got a new report from Millwood. The situation at the clinic has deteriorated. The 9 people who were bitten by the initial 3 patients, the medical staff and family members, they've started dying. One nurse died about 15 minutes ago. She reanimated in less than 5 minutes. She's now locked in a supply closet after attacking 2 police officers. Both officers were bitten. They're being restrained and monitored. This is spreading. Every person who gets bitten becomes infected within hours. Every person who dies from the infection comes back violent, and everyone they attack becomes infected in turn. It's exponential. The math on this is terrifying if it gets out of that clinic. The Millwood police chief has ordered a perimeter around the clinic. Nobody gets in or out. The problem is that some family members left before the lockdown was fully enforced. They went home. If any of them were exposed, if any of them start showing symptoms, they could infect their own households before anyone realizes what's happening. I'm watching Emily's face as she reads these updates, and she looks scared. I don't blame her. I'm scared too. This morning I woke up thinking I'd talk about traffic and weather and maybe some local school board meeting. Now I'm reading about people dying and attacking each other, and I don't have any answers to give you. The farmer from Ashburn who was attacked by the foxes, he's at County Memorial Hospital. Emily just got word that he's developed a fever. He's being isolated. The hospital is taking precautions, treating it as a potential infectious disease, but they still don't know what they're dealing with. They've drawn blood, sent samples to the state lab, but results won't come back for hours at minimum, possibly days, depending on what kind of testing needs to be done. I need you to understand something. The authorities are reacting to this, but they're reacting to something they don't understand. They're following protocols designed for known diseases, known threats. This doesn't fit any existing protocol. So there's confusion, there's delay, there's bureaucracy getting in the way of rapid response. By the time everyone understands what this is, it might be too late to contain it. That sounds alarmist. I know it does. But I'm looking at the timeline here. First animal attack yesterday evening around 7. First human deaths around midnight. First secondary infections around 1 in the morning. By dawn, we have multiple towns affected, multiple animal incidents, and a clinic full of infected people that's barely holding together. That's less than 12 hours from initial contact to complete crisis in a contained location. What happens when it's not contained? It's 7:38 now. I'm going to give you some practical information. If you live in or near Millwood, stay inside, lock your doors. Do not let anyone in unless you can verify they're uninjured and healthy. If you see aggressive animals, do not approach them. Call authorities immediately. If you or someone you know was bitten by an animal or a person showing unusual aggression, seek medical attention immediately. But call ahead so the hospital can prepare for isolation protocols. I know this sounds extreme. I know it sounds like I'm overreacting. I hope I am. I genuinely hope that by this afternoon I'll be back on the air apologizing for causing unnecessary panic, explaining that everything's under control and it was just a strange isolated incident. But right now, based on what I'm seeing, I don't think that's how this is going to play out. Emily's holding up her phone. She's got a message from someone in Millwood, someone who got out before the lockdown. This person says the sounds coming from the clinic are inhuman, screaming but not normal screaming, guttural, animal sound. The police have set up barriers a block away in every direction. They're not letting anyone near the building. There are at least 20 infected people inside now, maybe more. The officers outside don't know what to do. They're waiting for state support that's still 30 minutes away. I'm thinking about the people trapped in that clinic, the ones who aren't infected yet. Medical staff, maybe some patients who were there for other reasons when this started. They're locked in a building with infected people who are violent and seemingly mindless. What are they supposed to do? Where are they supposed to go? There's no escape road, no plan for this kind of scenario. This is Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM, and I wish I had better news for you. I wish I could tell you everything's going to be fine. All I can do is keep you informed and hope that the people who are trained for emergencies can get this under control before it spreads beyond Millwood. It's 7:46. Emily's got another call coming in. She's taking it. I'm going to wait and see what this is. She's hanging up. The call was from a truck driver who was passing through the area east of Millwood around dawn. He saw what he described as a group of people walking along the rural road near the forest. He said they were moving strangely, stumbling, not responding when he honked his horn. He thought maybe they were drunk or on drugs. He didn't stop. He drove past them and continued on his route. That was about an hour ago. He's calling now because he just heard the news about Millwood and he's wondering if those people might have been related to whatever's happening. Emily's trying to get his location, trying to get more details about exactly where he saw these people, but he's already 100 miles away making a delivery. He's given us the approximate location. It's on Route 47, about 3 miles east of Millwood's town limits, right near the forest. If those people were infected, if they're wandering around outside the clinic perimeter, then the containment has already failed. They could walk to other farms, other homes. They could spread this beyond Millwood before anyone realizes they're out there. I'm going to ask Emily to call the state police and relay this information. Hold on. She's making the call now. I'm watching her talk, watching her face. She's having trouble getting through to someone who will take this seriously. Everyone's focused on the clinic. Nobody's thinking about the possibility that infected people might already be outside the perimeter. This is the problem with unprecedented situations. Nobody has a playbook. Everyone's making it up as they go, and that means mistakes, oversights, gaps in coverage. A truck driver sees people on a road and doesn't think much of it. Why would he? By the time he realizes those people might be infected, they're gone, disappeared into the countryside. It's 7:54 now. The hazmat team should be arriving in Millwood within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe they'll have equipment, expertise, protocols that can help. Maybe they'll be able to secure the clinic and treat the infected and stop this from spreading. I want to believe that, but I keep coming back to the basic facts. This infection moves fast. It spreads through bites and scratches. It kills quickly and the dead reanimate violent. Those are the facts as we went them right now. Emily finally got through to a state police dispatcher who took down the information about the people on Route 47. They're sending a patrol car to investigate. That's something at least. Maybe they'll find those people. Maybe they'll be able to help them before they hurt anyone else. I'm realizing I haven't eaten anything today except that cold coffee. My hands are shaking slightly. Adrenaline, probably. Or just the stress of trying to process all this information and relay it to you in a way that makes sense. I don't know if I'm doing a good job. I don't know if there's a good way to handle this kind of situation. The farmer from Ashford, the one who was attacked by foxes, his condition has worsened. He's now fully symptomatic. High fever, aggression, incoherent speech. County Memorial Hospital has moved him to an isolation unit. His family has been removed from the hospital and told to self-quarantine at home. The hospital is on alert. If he dies, they're prepared to restrain him, but nobody really knows what prepared means in this context. I keep using the word infected. I should clarify. We don't officially know that this is an infection. It could be exposure to a toxic substance, radiation sickness with unusual symptoms, some kind of environmental poisoning, but the way it's spreading from person to person through bites suggests infectious disease, blood-to-blood transmission. That's consistent with bacterial or viral infection, not with radiation or chemical exposure. The scientists are going to figure this out eventually. They'll test the animals, test the patients, analyze the water and soil from the forest. They'll identify the pathogen and hopefully develop a treatment. But that takes time. Days, weeks, maybe months. What do we do in the meantime? It's 8:03, morning rush should be picking up, but traffic is still light. I wonder how many people are listening right now. I wonder if anyone in Millwood is hearing this, if they're sitting in their homes, doors locked, listening to me try to explain what's happening in their town. If you are listening, if you're in Millwood, I want you to know that help is coming. The hazmat team is almost there. The National Guard is on standby. The state is taking this seriously. You're not alone. Emily's monitoring social media now. People in Millwood are posting about the situation. Lots of confusion, lots of fear. Some people are saying they're leaving town, packing up their cars and heading west, away from the forest. Others are saying the roads are being blocked, that police aren't letting anyone leave. I don't know which is true. Maybe both. Maybe some roads are open and others aren't. Communication is breaking down. That's what happens in a crisis. Information becomes fragmented, contradictory. There's a post from someone claiming to be inside the clinic. They're saying the infected people are breaking through doors, overwhelming the police, trying to contain them. They're saying there are bodies everywhere, both dead and undead. They're saying they're trapped in an upper floor office and they don't think they're going to make it out. I don't know if this post is real or if it's someone's idea of a sick joke. Emily's trying to verify it, but there's no way to be sure. If it's real, if the clinic is being overrun, then the infected are going to get out. They're going to spill into the streets of Millwood, and from there, who knows? How do you stop someone who's already dead? How do you fight people who feel no pain, who have no fear, who only want to attack and bite? I'm not a religious man, but I'm thinking about prayers right now. I'm thinking about all the ways humans have tried to make sense of senseless tragedy throughout history. We tell stories, we perform rituals, we look for meaning. What's the meaning in this? Is it just random bad luck that an old nuclear site started leaking? Is it human negligence? Someone's failure to properly seal that facility 40 years ago? Is it nature, showing us that we can't just bury our toxic waste and forget about it? It's 8:12 and I'm getting philosophical when I should be sticking to facts. Let me refocus. The hazmat team is in Millwood now. Emily just got confirmation. They're setting up a command post at the high school, which is about half a mile from the clinic. They're assessing the situation and preparing to move in. That's good. That's what we need. Professional emergency responders with proper equipment and training. The State Health Department has issued an advisory for all counties in the region. Avoid wildlife, report unusual animal behavior, seek immediate medical attention for any animal or human bites. They're not calling it an outbreak yet. They're not using the word quarantine, but the advisory is unprecedented in its scope and urgency. Local hospitals are being put on alert. Emily's hearing that emergency rooms are seeing an uptick in patients coming in with animal bites from the past 24 hours. Most of these are probably unrelated to the situation in Millwood, just normal wildlife encounters that people are now worried about. But some might be connected. Some might be people who were exposed to contaminated animals and don't know it yet. The hospitals are testing everyone, taking precautions, but they're also starting to feel overwhelmed by the sudden influx. I'm thinking about the resources. How many isolation units do we have in this region? How many beds? How many trained personnel? If this spreads beyond Millwood, if we start seeing multiple outbreaks in multiple towns, the healthcare system is going to be stretched thin very quickly. We don't have the infrastructure for a mass infection event. Nobody does. These systems are designed for normal operations with occasional surges, not for exponential growth of a violent contagion. That's what this is, isn't it? A violent contagion. The infected don't just get sick and die, they come back and they spread it. Every victim becomes a vector. It's like a virus that turns people into its own transmission mechanism. Elegant in a horrible way. Effective. Emily's looking at me like I need to stop talking like this. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm scaring people unnecessarily. But I think people deserve to know what we might be facing. Better to be prepared for the worst and relieved when it doesn't happen than to be blindsided because nobody wanted to sound alarmist. It's 8:21. The sun is fully up now. It's a beautiful morning outside this studio. Blue sky, birds singing. The world looks normal. But 40 miles away, people are dying and coming back wrong. The juxtaposition is jarring. I keep looking out the window expecting to see something, some visible sign of the crisis, but there's nothing. Just a normal Thursday in a normal city. For now, the hazmat team has made contact with the police perimeter around the clinic. They're being briefed on the situation. Emily's getting secondhand reports that the team is shocked by what they're hearing. They came prepared for a chemical spill or radiation leak, not for violent patients attacking people. They're reassessing their approach, calling for additional support. This is where bureaucracy becomes deadly. The hazmat team isn't trained to handle violent individuals. That's law enforcement's job. But law enforcement isn't trained to handle potentially infectious, violent individuals. That requires medical expertise. But medical staff can't safely approach these people without security. So everyone's standing around trying to figure out who's responsible for what while inside that clinic people are dying. I don't mean to criticize the responders. They're doing their best in an impossible situation. But the system isn't designed for this. We have separate agencies with separate training and separate equipment, and they're all trying to coordinate in real time without a playbook. It's messy, it's slow, and every minute of delay is another minute for the infection to spread. The National Guard has been activated. Emily just got the word. They're mobilizing units to the Millwood area. ETA is about 2 hours. 2 hours. The Guard has people, equipment, the ability to establish a real perimeter and force a real quarantine. But 2 hours is a long time when you're dealing with exponential spread. Let me do some math for you. Let's say there are currently 20 infected people in the clinic. Each one attacks and infects 2 people before being contained or destroyed. That's 40 infected. Each of those 40 infects 2 more. That's 2 hours at that rate, assuming an infection cycle of about 30 minutes from bite to death to reanimation. You could be looking at hundreds of infected, maybe thousands if they get out into the population. Those numbers are speculative. I don't know the actual infection rate or cycle time, but the principle stands. This grows fast if it's not contained immediately. And right now we don't have immediate containment. It's 8:29. Emily's phone is ringing constantly now. She's fielding calls from worried residents, from other news outlets asking for confirmation of rumors, from officials who want to know what we're broadcasting. Everyone wants information. Nobody has complete information. We're all working with fragments trying to piece together a picture that keeps changing. There's a report of gunfire in Millwood, multiple shots. Could be police, could be citizens defending themselves. We don't know the specifics. The town's landline communication is still working, but cell service is spotty, probably overloaded from everyone trying to call out at once. People are scared. They're calling family, calling friends, trying to figure out what to do. Some are choosing to leave. Emily's hearing reports of people packing cars and driving out of Millwood despite police trying to establish checkpoints. You can't really blame them. If you're sitting in your home hearing screams and gunfire, seeing neighbors run past your window, your instinct is to get out, get to safety. But if any of those people are infected, if they're incubating the disease and don't know it yet, they're carrying it to the next town, the next county. This is how outbreaks spread. One person gets on a bus, gets in a car, gets on a plane. They feel fine, maybe a slight fever. They attribute to stress or lack of sleep. They travel, they interact with others. By the time symptoms appear, they've exposed dozens of people. And in this case, symptoms appear in hours, not days. The window for intervention is tiny. The CDC has been officially notified and is sending a team, but they're coming from Atlanta. Even with priority clearance, that's hours away by plane, then ground transport to Millwood. By the time they arrive, the situation will have evolved significantly. They'll be playing catch-up, trying to study something that's already metastasized beyond the initial site. I'm trying to think about what the end game looks like here. Best case scenario, the National Guard arrives, establishes a hard perimeter around Millwood, nobody gets in or out. The infected are eliminated or contained. The town is quarantined for weeks while medical teams figure out treatment options and ensure no one else is incubating the disease. The old nuclear site is sealed properly. The contamination is cleaned up, and this becomes a tragic but contained incident. Regional crisis, not national or global. Worst case scenario, the infection spreads beyond Millwood before containment can be established. Multiple towns become infected. The disease reaches urban areas where population density allows for rapid exponential growth. Healthcare systems collapse. Normal social order breaks down. We're looking at a societal level event, not just a medical one. I don't know which scenario we're heading toward. I genuinely don't. It's 8:39 and we're still in the early stages. The next few hours are going to be critical. Emily just showed me something on her tablet, satellite imagery of Millwood from about an hour ago. You can see people in the streets clustering around the clinic. You can see vehicles at the police perimeter. You can see what looks like smoke, maybe from a fire on the north side of town. The image is blurry, but you get a sense of chaos, of things falling apart. There's movement on the roads leading out of town. Cars, lots of them. People evacuating. The police aren't stopping them on all routes. They can't. They don't have enough personnel to block every road, every path out of town. So people are leaving, scattering to the winds, potentially carrying the infection with them. The farmer at County Memorial Hospital has died. Emily just got the news. He died at 8:30. Hospital staff immediately placed his body in a secured room. They're monitoring for any signs of reanimation. If what happened in Millwood happens here, he'll reanimate within minutes. The hospital is prepared, at least as prepared as they can be. Security is standing by. Medical staff have been moved to a safe distance. Everyone's watching and waiting. This is the first time the infection will be observed in a controlled environment with medical professionals present. Maybe they'll learn something, maybe they'll see something that helps them understand how to stop it. I don't know what you look for when you're waiting for a dead body to come back to life. What are the signs? What's the mechanism? Does the heart restart? Do the lungs start breathing again? Or is it something else, something we don't understand, some kind of reanimation that doesn't follow the normal rules of biology? It's 8:44 and Emily's holding up 3 fingers. 3 minutes since the farmer died. I'm watching her face. She's watching her phone, waiting for an update from the hospital. The room is silent except for the ambient hum of the equipment and the distant sound of traffic outside. 4 minutes. Nothing yet. 5 minutes. Still nothing. Emily's getting a call. She's answering. She's listening. She's nodding. She's hanging up. The farmer reanimated at the 6-minute mark. He sat up suddenly, no warning. Started thrashing, trying to break out of the restraints they'd placed on his body. Making sounds, guttural noises. Hospital security had to use extreme force to restrain him. He's secured now, but extremely violent. No recognition of surroundings, no response to verbal commands, no apparent pain response when restrained. So we have confirmation this happens to everyone who dies from the infection. 6 minutes in this case, maybe 5 minutes in other cases we've heard about. There's a window after death where the body is truly dead and then something happens. Something brings them back, but not as they were as something else. The doctors at County Memorial are debating what to do with him. They can't treat him in any conventional sense. He's not sick. He's not injured in a way they can heal. He's fundamentally altered. Do they keep him restrained indefinitely? Do they euthanize him? Is it even legal or ethical to euthanize what is technically a reanimated corpse? Nobody knows. There's no law, no ethical framework for this. It's 8:51. The sun is climbing higher. The temperature is rising. It's going to be a warm day. People who don't know what's happening are going about their business. Going to work, running errands, living normal lives, but the people who do know, the people in Millwood and Ashford and County Memorial Hospital, their world has changed. For them, nothing will ever be normal again. Emily's showing me social media posts from people claiming to be in Millwood. One says they can see infected people gathering in the streets near the clinic, says there are dozens of them, maybe more, moving in a group. Another post says the police perimeter has been breached, that infected are spreading through the town. A third post says they saw someone being attacked in broad daylight, saw the person go down and then get back up minutes later and join the infected. I can't verify any of this. It could be true. Could be panic and exaggeration. But if even half of it is true, Millwood is falling. The infection is spreading beyond the clinic, beyond any hope of immediate containment. The town is being overrun. The National Guard isn't there yet. They're still an hour out, maybe more depending on traffic and logistics. An hour is an eternity in the context of this outbreak. In an hour, Millwood could be completely lost. Everyone who's still human could be dead or fleeing or infected. I'm trying to think about what we should tell people who are listening. Should I tell them to stay calm, that help is coming? Should I tell them to prepare for the worst? Should I tell them to leave their homes and get as far away as possible? I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what advice would actually keep people safe. If you're listening and you're in the Millwood area, here's what I think you should do. Get in your car right now. Take your family, take whatever supplies you can grab quickly, and drive away from the eastern forest region. Head west or south. Put as much distance as possible between you and Millwood. Don't stop until you're at least 50 miles away. Find a hotel, a friend's house, anywhere that's away from the outbreak zone. Monitor news and wait for official instruction. If you can't leave, if you're trapped or don't have transportation, barricade yourself inside. Lock all doors and windows. Move to an upper floor if possible. Gather weapons, anything you can use to defend yourself. Do not open the door for anyone unless you are absolutely certain they're uninfected. Wait for authorities to reach you. That's the best advice I can give. I hope it's wrong. I hope by this afternoon I'll be apologizing for causing a panic, but I'd rather you be overprepared and inconvenienced than unprepared and dead. It's 8:59, top of the hour. Normally I'd do a station ID, read some headlines, maybe throw to a commercial, but nothing about this is normal. I'm going to keep broadcasting as long as I can, as long as there's information to share and people to share it with. Emily's got a new report. State police have set up roadblocks on major routes leading away from Millwood. They're screening people, checking for injuries, taking temperatures. Anyone showing symptoms is being turned back or detained. It's not a perfect system, but maybe it'll slow the spread. Maybe it'll give the authorities time to figure out a better response. The problem is that symptoms can take hours to develop. Someone could pass through a checkpoint feeling fine, only to develop a fever and die 30 miles down the road. Then they reanimate in their car or at a gas station or in a restaurant. And the infection spreads to a new location. You can't screen for something with a delayed onset. The best you can do is quarantine everyone from the affected area for the full incubation period, however long that is. We don't even know yet. Could be 6 hours, could be 12, could be 24. The CDC team is still en route. They should land at the regional airport in about 90 minutes, then it's a 40-minute drive to Millwood. When they arrive, they'll want to establish a field lab. Start testing samples, try to identify the pathogen. But that's science, and science takes time. We need solutions now, not in 3 days when the lab results come back. I keep coming back to the nuclear waste site. That's the source, that has to be the source. If we could somehow contain that leak, prevent any more contamination from spreading, maybe we could stop new infections even if we can't help the people who are already infected. But I don't know how you contain a nuclear waste leak. That's not something you can just plug with concrete and hope for the best. It requires specialists, equipment testing. It requires time we don't have. It's 9:07. Emily's fielding calls from people in surrounding towns asking what they should do. Should they evacuate? Should they prepare? What if the infection comes to their town? She's doing her best to give calm, rational advice, but the truth is we don't know. We don't know how far this is going to spread or how fast. We don't know if the authorities can contain it. We're all guessing, making it up as we go. There's been a confirmed sighting of infected individuals on Route 47, the road where the truck driver saw those people earlier. State police responded and found 3 individuals matching the description. They attempted to detain them for medical evaluation. All 3 attacked the officers. The officers had to shoot them. All 3 went down, but 2 reanimated and continued attacking. The officers had to shoot them multiple more times, targeting the head before they stopped moving. So we know now that these things are hard to kill. They don't respond to body shots the way living people do. You have to destroy the brain, sever the nervous system at the brainstem. That's horror movie logic becoming real-world operational knowledge. Law enforcement and military are going to have to adjust their tactics. Shoot to kill isn't enough. You have to shoot to destroy. The officers who were attacked, both were bitten. They're being transported to County Memorial Hospital. They know what's going to happen to them. They watch their attackers reanimate, watch them keep moving even after fatal injuries. They know they have hours before they die and come back as one of those things. Emily says the conversation with dispatch was heartbreaking. The officers asking about their families, asking someone to tell them they died in the line of duty, asking to be secured before they turn so they don't hurt anyone. It's 9:15, and I'm having trouble keeping my composure here. These are real people, state police officers doing their job, responding to a call, and now they're infected, they're dying. They're going to die and reanimate and spend whatever time they have left restrained in a hospital room, trapped in a body that's no longer theirs. Is there any consciousness left when they turn? Are they aware of what's happened to them? Or is it just some kind of autonomic function, the body moving without a mind? The doctors don't know. They don't know if there's anything of the person left or if it's just biological machinery running on instinct. They're going to study the infected, try to learn, but every sample they study is someone who was alive yesterday. Someone with a name and a family and a life. Now they're specimens. Emily's showing me updates from the hazmat team in Millwood. They've managed to get close enough to the clinic to assess the situation. The building is compromised. Doors have been broken, windows shattered. There are infected both inside and outside. Estimated count is over 50 now. The team is pulling back, saying they don't have the resources or training to handle this many hostile individuals. They're recommending that the National Guard take lead when they arrive. 50 infected in Millwood, plus the 3 on Route 47, plus the farmer at County Memorial, plus 2 state police officers who will turn within hours. That's 56 confirmed infected that we know about. How many more are there that we haven't found yet? How many people left Millwood before the infection was obvious, carrying the disease with them to other communities? I'm looking at the map again. Millwood is the epicenter. But within a 50-mile radius, there are 8 other towns, 3 small cities, and countless rural properties. If this spreads to those population centers, if it reaches a city of 50,000 or 100,000 people, the numbers become exponential in a way that's unstoppable. You can't quarantine a city. You can't screen everyone. You can't track every contact. It's 9:23. We're nearly 3 hours into the broadcast, and I feel like we've been doing this for days. The information keeps coming, keeps getting worse. Emily looks exhausted, and we've barely started. How long can we keep this up? How long until the infection reaches us here? We're 70 miles from Millwood. That's a 90-minute drive. If someone infected left there at dawn, they could theoretically be here by now. I don't want to scare you, but I want you to be aware. If you're listening in the metro area, you need to start thinking about what you do if the infection arrives here. Do you have supplies? Do you have a plan? Do you know where you'd go if you needed to evacuate? These aren't hypothetical questions anymore. This is real, and it's happening, and it's spreading. The State Health Department has issued a new advisory. All residents within a 100-mile radius of Millwood should avoid unnecessary travel, stock up on essential supplies, and prepare for possible evacuation or shelter-in-place orders. Schools in 5 counties are being closed. Public gatherings are being canceled. It's not a full lockdown yet, but it's closed. Grocery stores are about to see a run. People are going to panic buy food, water, medical supplies. If you need anything, go now before the shelves are empty. Get at least 2 weeks' worth of food and water. Get batteries, flashlights, first aid supplies. Get anything you'd need to survive if utilities went down or if you couldn't leave your home for days. This is Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM, and I'm telling you to prepare. Better safe than sorry. Better to have supplies you don't need than to need supplies you don't have. It's 9:31. The National Guard convoy is about 30 minutes from Millwood. They're bringing armored vehicles, heavy weapons, medical support, everything they think they'll need to establish a quarantine zone. But nobody's really done this before. Nobody's established a quarantine around an active outbreak of reanimated infected. The protocols don't exist. They're going to have to figure it out in real time. Emily's got a call from someone claiming to be a scientist, someone who worked on environmental studies in the region years ago. This person says the nuclear waste site was never properly cleaned up, that the contractors cut corners, buried waste that should have been removed, sealed containers that were already corroding. They're saying this has been an accident waiting to happen for 40 years. They're saying there could be thousands of gallons of radioactive material seeping into the groundwater, spreading through the aquifer, affecting an area much larger than just the forest. If that's true, if the contamination is widespread throughout the water system, then every animal that's been drinking from those streams for months or years could be infected. Not just the ones we've seen so far. Hundreds of animals, maybe thousands. Wild boar, deer, foxes, raccoons, all potentially carrying the mutated bacteria or whatever it is that's causing this, and any of them could wander into any town, any farm, and start a new outbreak. We thought this was one town, one incident. It might be regional, it might be everywhere the water flows. I'm trying not to catastrophize, but the implications are staggering. If the source is widespread contamination, then we're not dealing with one outbreak we can contain. We're dealing with multiple potential outbreak sites across hundreds of square miles. Every community near the forest is at risk. Every person who's been drinking well water or eating local game is potentially exposed. The State Health Department needs to issue a water advisory immediately. Nobody in the region should be drinking untreated water. Wells should be tested. Municipal supplies should be screened. This needed to happen yesterday, but it's not too late to prevent further exposure. It's 9:39. Emily's trying to get through to someone at the health department to relay this information. The lines are jammed. Everyone's calling everyone. Communication systems are straining under the load. This is what happens when crisis hits. The infrastructure we rely on starts to buckle. I can hear sirens outside now. Multiple sirens overlapping. Police, ambulances, fire trucks. Something's happening somewhere in the city. Emily's checking the emergency scanner. There's been an incident at County Memorial Hospital. The 2 state police officers who were bitten, their turn they died and reanimated. One of them broke free from his restraints. There's a code situation. Hospital security is responding. This is happening here now, not 40 miles away in some small town. Here, in our city, the infection has arrived. Emily's getting more details. The officer who broke free attacked a nurse. The nurse was injured, possibly bitten. Security managed to re-secure the officer, but now they have another person who might be infected. The hospital is going into lockdown. No visitors, restricted access, only essential personnel. They're moving all patients away from the isolation wing, and the infected farmer who was already there, he's still secured, still violent. So now County Memorial has 3 infected individuals contained in their facility, 3 sources of potential contagion. Every doctor, every nurse, every security guard who interacts with them is at risk. How long can a hospital maintain that kind of containment? How long before someone makes a mistake? Before restraints fail, before the infected break out and start spreading through the building? Hospitals are places full of vulnerable people, sick people, elderly people, people recovering from surgery. If the infection gets loose in a hospital, it's a massacre. It's 9:47. I'm watching Emily coordinate with our news team, making sure everyone knows what's happening, making sure we have people ready to cover breaking developments. But I'm also watching her face and I can see the fear. We're all feeling it now. This isn't just a story we're reporting. This is our lives, our city, our families at risk. My wife is at home. I called her during the break, told her to lock the doors, stay inside, don't let anyone in. She asked me if she should leave, if she should drive to her sister's place in another state. I didn't know what to tell her. Is it safer to stay or go? If she stays, she might be trapped if things get worse. If she goes, she might carry the infection with her, might spread it somewhere new. There's no good answer. The National Guard is arriving in Millwood now. Emily's getting reports. They're setting up a perimeter around the town, blocking all roads in and out. They're using armored vehicles to create physical barriers. Nobody gets in or out without their authorization. It's a full military quarantine. Inside Millwood, they're preparing to sweep the town, locate all infected individuals, eliminate them if necessary. It's going to be urban combat, but against an enemy that doesn't take cover, doesn't retreat, doesn't do anything except attack. The Guard has been briefed on targeting the head, destroying the brain. They know what they're facing, but knowing and experiencing are different things. Imagine being a soldier, seeing something that looks like a person running at you. Your training says target center mass, but your briefing says that won't work. You have to aim for the head. Split-second decisions. You hesitate, you die or get infected. You shoot too quickly, you might kill someone who's not infected. The psychological toll is going to be enormous. It's 9:55. We're approaching the 3-hour mark. I need to take a short break, get some water, clear my head. Emily needs a break too. We're going to step away for 5 minutes, then we'll be back with more updates. This is Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. Stay with us. We're back. It's 10:03. While we were on break, things accelerated. The National Guard has engaged infected in Millwood. There's been gunfire, lots of it. Emily's monitoring military communications, and it sounds like heavy combat. The Guard is encountering more infected than expected. Dozens of them in the streets, diverging from buildings. The initial sweep is stalled. They're taking casualties. When I say casualties, I mean soldiers being bitten, being infected. The Guard is having to leave their wounded behind, having to pull back and regroup. You can't evacuate someone who's going to turn into one of those things in a few hours. You can't bring them back to base, risk them turning and infecting others. So they're being left secured if possible, but left, that's going to destroy morale. Soldiers are trained to never leave a man behind. Now they're being ordered to do exactly that. They're watching their friends die, knowing those friends are going to reanimate as the enemy. How do you process that? How do you keep fighting after seeing that? The colonel in command is requesting additional support. He's saying they need air assets. They need more troops. They need flamethrowers or something that can eliminate infected efficiently at range. Shooting them one by one isn't working when there are dozens swarming at once. This is the first time military force is being used against these infected, and it's not going well. The infected don't behave like human enemies. They don't take cover. They don't retreat when fired upon. They just keep coming until they're physically destroyed. That's difficult to fight, especially in an urban environment with buildings and obstacles. It's 10:11. The CDC team has landed at the regional airport. They're being briefed on the situation as it stands. They're going to establish a field lab at the Guard's command post once it's secure. But right now, nothing's secure. Millwood is chaos. The Guard is fighting for every block. Emily's got new information about the nuclear waste site. A team of environmental inspectors and nuclear safety experts has been dispatched to assess the facility. They're going to approach from the west, avoiding Millwood entirely. Their mission is to determine the extent of the contamination and recommend immediate containment measures, but they're not going to arrive until this afternoon. More delays, more time for the contamination to spread. Meanwhile, reports of aggressive wildlife are coming in from multiple counties. A pack of coyotes attacked a maintenance worker on Highway 12. A family found a dead deer in their backyard that reanimated and tried to get through their sliding glass door. Wildlife officers are responding to dozens of calls per hour. The animals are spreading the infection faster than authorities can track. Here's what we're facing. The initial outbreak in Millwood is serious but containable if the National Guard can bring it under control. But the wildlife vector is uncontrollable. You can't quarantine animals. You can't screen them at checkpoint. They move freely, cross county lines, enter populated areas without warning. Every infected animal is a potential outbreak waiting to happen. The state is going to have to implement some kind of wildlife cull. Send out teams to systematically hunt and eliminate animals in the affected region. It's brutal but necessary. Otherwise, this just keeps spreading. But that requires coordination, resources, trained personnel. It requires time to organize. And every hour of delay is another hour for infected animals that spread. It's 10:19. I'm getting messages from listeners asking what they should do. I wish I had better answers. If you're in the immediate outbreak area, meaning within 20 miles of Millwood or the eastern forest, you should evacuate if you can do so safely. Head west or south away from the forest. If you can't evacuate, shelter in place, barricade your home, arm yourself. If you're outside the immediate area but still in the region within 100 miles, stay alert. Keep doors and windows locked. Avoid wildlife. Don't drink untreated water. Monitor news and official channels for updates. Be ready to evacuate on short notice. If you're far from the outbreak, more than 100 miles, you're probably safe for now. But start preparing just in case. Get supplies, make a plan. This could spread. It could come to your area. Better to be ready. I know this sounds extreme. I know it sounds like I'm advocating for panic. I'm not. I'm advocating for rational preparation. There's a difference between panicking and being prudent. Emily's showing me footage from Millwood. Someone with a phone captured video before they evacuated. It shows the main street, infected people walking aimlessly until they spot the person filming. Then they all turn and start running toward the camera. The video cuts off. I don't know if that person made it out or not. The infected move differently. They're not smooth like living people. They stumble, they lurch. But they're fast when they see prey, and they're relentless. The video shows them running into obstacles, falling down, getting back up, never stopping. It's disturbing to watch. These were people. Now there's something else. The National Guard has established a temporary headquarters at the Millwood High School. They've cleared the building, secured it, set up communications equipment. The CDC team is being routed there. The plan is to make the high school the base of operations for both the military response and the scientific investigation. But the Guard is still fighting to control the town. They've divided Millwood into sectors, trying to clear one sector at a time. It's slow going. Every building could have infected inside. Every house, every store, every garage. They're going door to door in some areas, using loudspeakers to tell survivors to make themselves known, to come out peacefully. But survivors are scared to reveal themselves, scared it might be a trap or that the infected will hear them. It's 10:27. We've been broadcasting for nearly 4 hours. The initial incident was yesterday evening. That means we're about 15 hours into this crisis. In that time, we've gone from one animal attack to a full military operation in a quarantine town. The speed of escalation is breathtaking. I keep thinking about exponential growth. The early stages look manageable. 1 infected, 2 infected, 4 infected. The numbers are small, but exponential growth means the doubling continues. 8, 16, 32, 64. It's not long before the numbers become unmanageable. We saw this with disease models during the pandemic. Early intervention is everything. Wait too long and you can't catch up. Have we waited too long? Did the infection spread beyond containment before we even knew what we were dealing with? People who left Millwood yesterday evening and overnight before the quarantine, how many of them were exposed? How many of them are incubating the disease right now, spreading it to other communities? Emily's got a report from Ashford, the town where the farmer was attacked. There's been another incident. A couple in their home found an infected person trying to break through their back door. They called police. By the time police arrived, the couple was dead and the infected person was gone. Police entered the house to investigate. Both bodies reanimated and attacked the officers. One officer was bitten before they managed to retreat and seal the house. So now Ashford has confirmed infected, not wildlife, not people from Millwood. Local residents who were attacked and turned. The infection is spreading to a second town. The Guard is going to have to split their forces, allocate resources to contain Ashford as well as Millwood. They don't have unlimited personnel or equipment. They're going to be stretched thin. The state governor is expected to make an announcement within the hour. Emily's hearing that he's going to declare a state of emergency for the affected counties, activate additional National Guard units, request federal assistance. Federal assistance means FEMA, maybe military support from outside the state. It means acknowledging this is beyond local and state capacity to handle. It's 10:35. My phone's vibrating. Text from my wife. She's saying the neighbors are loading up their car, leaving. She's asking again if she should go. I'm typing back, telling her to stay put for now. The roads are jammed with evacuees. Better to wait until traffic clears or until we have a better sense of whether evacuation is necessary. But I don't know if that's the right advice. Maybe I'm putting her in danger by telling her to stay. Maybe she should leave while she still can. This is the burden of uncertainty. Every decision could be the wrong one. Stay or go. Fight or hide. Trust the authorities or take matters into your own hands. There's no guidebook for this. The CDC team is setting up at Millwood High School. They've brought mobile lab equipment, testing kits, protective gear. Their first priority is to obtain samples from infected individuals, both living and dead, to identify the pathogen. They're also going to test water and soil samples from the nuclear waste site once those can be safely obtained. Dr. Lisa Park is leading the CDC team. Emily's got a brief statement from her. Dr. Park is calling this an unprecedented outbreak of what she's terming acute infectious encephalopathy with post-mortem reanimation. That's the scientific way of saying the infection causes brain damage that persists after death, leading to reanimation. She's confirming it's transmissible through blood and saliva, consistent with viral or bacterial infection. She's estimating the incubation period at 4 to 8 hours based on observed cases. And she's confirming that reanimation occurs 5 to 10 minutes after death. So now we have official medical confirmation of what we've been observing. This is real. This is happening. The dead are coming back. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, but physically. Their bodies reanimate and attack the living. It sounds impossible, but it's documented, observed, confirmed by multiple independent sources. How is this possible? Dr. Park is theorizing that the mutated bacteria or virus affects the brainstem, the part of the brain that controls basic functions like breathing and heart rate. When the higher brain dies from the infection, the brainstem remains active, driving primitive behaviors. The body moves, but there's no consciousness, no personality, no humanity left. Just instinct. The instinct to feed, to bite, to spread the infection. It's 10:45. The governor is about to speak. Emily's pulling up the live feed. Let me listen to this and I'll relay the key points. The governor is declaring a state of emergency for 9 counties in the eastern part of the state. He's activating all available National Guard units. He's requesting federal assistance from FEMA and the Department of Defense. He's implementing a mandatory quarantine for Millwood and Ashford, meaning anyone who leaves those towns without authorization will be detained. He's advising residents of surrounding counties to shelter in place, avoid travel, and prepare for possible evacuation orders. He's saying that the situation is serious but under control. He's saying that every resource is being brought to bear. He's saying that the public should remain calm and follow official instructions. He's not saying anything about the infected, about people dying and reanimate. He's keeping it vague, talking about a rapidly spreading infectious disease and unusual symptoms. He's downplaying the reality, probably to avoid panic. But the people who are living through this, the people in Millwood and Ashford, they know. And the people who are listening to this broadcast, you know, the governor can try to manage the message, but the truth is out there. Social media is full of videos, photos, first-hand account. You can't contain information anymore. You can only try to shape the narrative. Emily's getting reports that the governor's statement has triggered a wave of panic. People who were on the fence about leaving are now packing up. Traffic on major highways heading west is gridlocked. Gas stations are running out of fuel. Stores are being stripped of food and water. The governor tried to calm things down, and instead he confirmed everyone's worst fears. This is the problem with crisis communication. Tell people too little and they assume the worst. Tell them too much and they panic. There's a narrow window of transparency that keeps people informed without causing chaos, and it's almost impossible to hit that window when you're dealing with something as unprecedented as this. It's 10:53. The National Guard has cleared 3 sectors of Millwood. They're reporting at least 80 confirmed infected, eliminated, and an unknown number still at large in the uncalculated sectors. They found survivors, civilians who barricaded themselves in homes or businesses. These survivors are being evacuated to the high school for screening and medical evaluation. Anyone who shows symptoms or has injuries is being isolated. The CDC is testing survivors, taking blood samples, checking for exposure. So far, they're finding that anyone who was bitten or scratched and is still showing symptoms will eventually turn. There's no way to stop it once the infection takes hold. They're trying various treatments, antibiotics, antivirals, but nothing is working. The mutated pathogen is resistant to everything they've tried. So if you're bitten, you're dead. It's just a matter of time. Hours until you die, minutes until you reanimate. That's the reality. And knowing that reality, what do you do if you're bitten? Do you tell someone, risk being restrained or isolated for your final hours? Do you hide it, pretend everything's fine, spend your last moments of humanity with loved ones? Do you take your own life before you turn, deny the infection the chance to use your body as a weapon? These are impossible questions with no good answers. But people are having to make these choices right now in real time with no time to process or prepare. It's 11:01. Top of the hour. We're 5 hours into continuous coverage. I need to hydrate, eat something. Emily's bringing me food from the break room. I don't know if I can eat. My stomach's in knots, but I need to keep my energy up. This could go on for hours more, days maybe. While I eat, let me give you a summary of where things stand. We have 2 confirmed outbreak towns, Millwood and Ashford, both under military quarantine. We have widespread wildlife infections across the eastern forest region. We have multiple cases of human infection in various locations, some contained in hospitals, some at large. We have a state of emergency declared. We have federal assistance requested. We have mass evacuations causing traffic chaos and resource shortages. And we have a source of contamination, the old nuclear waste site that hasn't been contained yet. Until that's sealed, until the leak is stopped, new infections are possible. New outbreaks can start. This isn't over, it's barely started. The environmental team is approaching the nuclear waste site now. They're moving cautiously, monitoring radiation levels, checking for immediate hazards. The site is remote, difficult to access, surrounded by forest. That's probably why it was chosen for waste disposal in the first place. Out of sight, out of mind, until it becomes everyone's problem. Emily's showing me aerial footage of the site. You can see the old buildings, rusted and collapsing. You can see the fence perimeter, though. Parts of the fence have fallen down. You can see what looks like a containment pond, dark water that probably shouldn't be there. And you can see vegetation around the pond that looks wrong, discolored, dead, or dying. The contamination is visible from the air. How long has it been leaking? How much has spread? It's 11:09 and I'm forcing myself to take bites of this sandwich. It tastes like sawdust. Emily's doing the same with a granola bar. We're both running on adrenaline and caffeine. At some point we're going to crash, but not yet. Not while people need information. The environmental team has reached the site perimeter. They're detecting elevated radiation levels, significantly above background. They're suiting up in protective gear before proceeding further. They're reporting visible damage to storage containers, signs of corrosion and failure. They're confirming that hazardous material has been released into the environment. One of the team members is a hydrologist. He's saying the contamination has definitely entered the groundwater. The site is on elevated terrain, meaning water flows downhill from here in multiple directions. Streams and creeks originating near the site feed into rivers that serve multiple counties. The scale of water contamination could be massive. If the water is contaminated across a wide area, then the animal infections make sense. Every animal that drinks from affected water sources is exposed. And if the bacteria or virus has been mutating in this radioactive environment for years, it's had time to become something dangerous, something that can infect and reanimate. The CDC is going to want samples from the site. They need to identify exactly what's in that water, what organism has been mutated by the radiation, but getting samples safely is going to be challenging. The team on site isn't equipped for biological sampling. They're focused on radiation and chemical hazards. They'll need to coordinate with the CDC, probably get a joint team out there tomorrow or the next day. Tomorrow feels like a lifetime away. So much can happen between now and then. It's 11:17. Emily's got an update from County Memorial Hospital. The 2 state police officers who were bitten, both have died, both reanimated. Hospital security was prepared this time, had them fully restrained. But watching someone you know, someone you were working with hours ago die and come back as a monster, that's traumatic. The security staff is shaken, medical staff is shaken, everyone's on edge. The nurse who was bitten when the first officer turned, she's symptomatic now. Fever, confusion. She's been restrained preemptively. She's crying, begging them to let her go, saying she needs to see her kids. But they can't let her go. She's going to die in turn. If they release her, she becomes a threat. So she's going to die restrained, alone, knowing what's coming. I can't imagine anything more horrifying. The hospital administrator is considering evacuating all non-essential patients and staff, keeping only critical care in the isolation unit operational. They're worried about the containment failing, about infected breaking loose. It only takes one security failure, one restraint giving way, one moment of inattention, and the infection spreads through the hospital. Then you have infected patients, infected staff, infected visitors. The hospital becomes an outbreak site rather than a treatment facility. This is what terrifies me about this infection. The speed and the certainty of it. If you're bitten, you're infected. If you're infected, you die. If you die, you reanimate. There's no variables, no chance of survival, no hope for recovery. It's a death sentence that's also a life sentence as something else. And because it's so certain, people who are bitten lose all hope immediately. They know they're already dead. The kind of psychological trauma, facing your own imminent death and transformation, it breaks people. Some go into denial, some become aggressive, dangerous even before they turn. Some simply shut down, go catatonic. The CDC and medical teams are having to deal with not just the physical infection, but the mental health crisis that comes with being infected. It's 11:25. The National Guard has completed the sweep of 5 sectors in Millwood. They've eliminated over 100 infected. They've rescued 47 survivors, and they've taken 12 casualties. Soldiers who were bitten during combat. Those soldiers are being isolated at the high school, restrained, waiting to die in turn. The Guard is having to treat their own people as infected hostiles. Morale is dropping. The Guard wasn't prepared for this psychologically. They trained for combat, for disaster response, for crowd control. They didn't train to fight reanimated civilians. They didn't train to shoot what looks like women and children and elderly people, because the infected don't discriminate. Old, young, male, female, they all tall, and they all have to be eliminated. The colonel in command is requesting psychological support for his troops. He's saying some of his soldiers are refusing orders, unable to shoot what appears to be civilians, even though they understand intellectually that these aren't people anymore. He's saying some soldiers are breaking down, crying, vomiting after engagements. He needs counselors, therapists, someone to help his people process what they're seeing and doing. But where do you find mental health support in the middle of a military operation in a quarantined outbreak zone? The state is trying to locate counselors willing to deploy to Millwood, but most mental health professionals are civilian, not trained for hazardous environments. This is another gap in our emergency response capabilities. We plan for physical injuries, for medical crises. We don't plan for mass psychological trauma among responders. It's 11:33. Emily's monitoring social media and she's seeing a disturbing trend. People are posting that they're not going to comply with quarantine orders. They're saying they have the right to leave to protect their families however they see fit. They're saying the government can't force them to stay in a dangerous area. Some of these people are arming themselves, forming groups, planning to force their way through checkpoints if necessary. They're organizing online, sharing plans, encouraging others to join them. This is how you get armed confrontations between civilians and military, how you get people shot at checkpoints, how you get the situation spiraling further out of control. The authorities need to get ahead of this. They need to communicate clearly why the quarantine is necessary, why trying to leave could spread the infection to safe areas. They need to offer support to people who are trapped. Let them know they haven't been forgotten. But the government is already overwhelmed, already struggling to coordinate the response. Adding civilian unrest to the mix is going to make everything harder. I want to speak directly to anyone listening who's in a quarantine zone. I understand you're scared. I understand you want to protect your family. But breaking quarantine puts everyone at risk. If you're exposed and you don't know it yet, you could carry the infection to communities that are still safe. You could be the reason someone else's family dies. Please trust that the authorities are doing everything they can. Stay where you are. Barricade yourself safely. Help is coming. Breaking out isn't going to save you. It's going to make things worse for everyone. I don't know if anyone's listening. I don't know if words matter at this point, but I have to try. It's 11:41. The CDC has completed initial analysis of blood samples from infected individuals. Dr. Park is releasing preliminary findings. The pathogen is bacterial, not viral. It's a strain of bacteria that's been heavily mutated by prolonged radiation exposure. The bacteria targets the nervous system, specifically the brainstem, causing massive inflammation and cell death in the higher brain while leaving primitive functions intact. The bacteria reproduces extremely rapidly in human blood, reaching critical infection levels within hours. Once the higher brain dies, the brainstem continues to function in a degraded state, driving basic motor function and aggressive behavior. The reanimated body is essentially running on the most primitive parts of the nervous system, the parts that govern survival instinct and aggression. Dr. Park is saying this explains why the infected don't feel pain, don't avoid danger, don't show any higher cognitive function. Those parts of the brain are dead. Only the brainstem remains active, and the brainstem doesn't do complex thinking. It does simple things: move, attack, feed. The bacteria is transmitted through blood and saliva, meaning bites and scratches are the primary vectors. It cannot be transmitted through the air, through casual contact, or through touching contaminated surfaces. You have to have direct blood-to-blood contact. That's something. It means you can be near infected individuals without automatically getting infected as long as you don't get bitten. But Dr. Park is warning that the bacteria can survive outside the body for a limited time. Blood from infected individuals remains infectious for up to 6 hours. Surfaces contaminated with infected blood should be considered hazardous. Anyone cleaning up after an infected incident needs to wear protective gear and use strong disinfectants. It's 11:49. We're approaching the 6-hour mark for this broadcast. The situation continues to evolve. Millwood is still being cleared sector by sector. Ashford is being locked down by additional guard units that just arrived. The nuclear waste site is multiple counties are under state of emergency. And new infection cases are being reported steadily. The numbers are growing, but we don't have precise figures. The state is compiling data, but it's incomplete. We know of at least 150 eliminated infected in Millwood alone. We know of dozens more in various other locations. And we know those numbers are going to climb as the day goes on. I need to take another short break. 5 minutes. Emily needs to make some calls, coordinate with our station management, make sure we have the resources to keep broadcasting. We'll be right back. This is Daniel Rothman. We're back at 11:57. During the break, I checked my phone. Messages from family, from friends, asking if I'm safe, asking what they should do. I don't have time to respond to everyone individually. If you're someone I know and you're listening, I'm okay. The studio is secure. I'm going to keep broadcasting as long as I can. Follow the advice I'm giving on air. Stay safe. Emily's back with new information. The federal assistance has been approved. FEMA is deploying teams to the region. The Department of Defense is sending additional military units, specialized teams trained in biohazard response. They should arrive by late afternoon, early evening. That's still hours away, but it's significant support when it comes. The challenge is coordination. The state resources, National Guard, local law enforcement, they're all operating under different command structures, different protocols. Adding federal agencies into the mix makes coordination even more complex. Everyone needs to be on the same page, working toward the same objectives. But in the chaos of an evolving crisis, that's difficult to achieve. There's a danger of friendly fire incidents, of different units not knowing where others are operating, of duplicated efforts or gaps in coverage. The military is trying to establish a unified command structure, but it takes time to get everyone integrated. Meanwhile, the infection doesn't wait for bureaucracy to sort itself out. It's 12:04 p.m. now. Noon. The sun is high. It's a bright, clear day. Outside this studio, people are going about their day in the parts of the state that haven't been affected yet. They're eating lunch, working, maybe not even aware of what's happening to the heat. The outbreak hasn't reached everyone yet. For some people, life is still normal, but normal is shrinking. The affected area is expanding. More towns are reporting animal incidents, possible exposure cases. The containment zones are growing. Soon there won't be anyone in the state who isn't touched by this in some way. Emily's got new footage from Millwood. The National Guard is using heavy weapons now, machine guns mounted on vehicles to clear large groups of infected. It's brutal, efficient, necessary, but watching it is disturbing. These were people. The bodies falling under sustained fire were humans once. Now they're targets. I keep having to remind myself that these aren't people anymore. The person is dead. What's left is just biological matter animated by primitive nervous system function. There's nothing to save. The only humane thing to do is stop the body from spreading the infection further, but it doesn't feel humane. It feels like slaughter. The survivors being evacuated from Millwood, many of them are in shock. They've watched neighbors die, watched friends turn. had to barricade themselves away from family members who became infected. They've witnessed things that no one should have to witness. They're traumatized in ways that will take years to process if they ever fully process it. And the responders, the soldiers and police and medical staff, they're accumulating trauma too. Every infected they eliminate, every person they restrain and watch die, every impossible decision they make, it adds up. We're creating a generation of people with severe PTSD, and we're doing it in real time over the course of a single day. It's 12/12. The environmental team at the nuclear waste site has completed their initial assessment. They're confirming multiple breaches in containment vessels. They're detecting high levels of radiation in soil and water. They're recommending immediate large-scale remediation, which means bringing in specialized equipment, building temporary containment structures, treating contaminated soil and water. It's a massive undertaking that will take months at minimum, possibly years, but they can take some immediate steps. They can seal the most critical breaches, preventing further leak. They can divert water flow away from the site, reducing contamination spread. They can fence off a larger perimeter, keeping people and animals away. These actions won't fix the problem, but they might slow the contamination while longer-term solutions are developed. The problem is that the site is in a remote location, difficult to access with heavy equipment. The forest roads aren't suitable for large trucks and machinery. They're going to have to improve the roads first before they can bring in what they need. More delay. I'm frustrated by how slow everything is. I understand that these are complex problems that require careful planning and coordination. But people are dying. Every hour of delay is more infections, more deaths, more reanimated infected spreading the disease. We need to move faster, but maybe that's not fair. Maybe the responders are moving as fast as humanly possible. Maybe I'm just angry and scared and looking for someone to blame. There probably isn't anyone to blame. Not really. This is an accident, a convergence of old mistakes and bad luck. The waste was buried 40 years ago by people who are probably dead now. The facility corroded naturally over time. Animals drank contaminated water through no one's fault. It just happened, except it didn't just happen. People made the decision to bury waste improperly. People made the decision not to properly monitor the site. People made the decision to ignore warnings from environmental groups in the 80s. This is the result of decades of negligence and corner cutting and hoping problems would just go away. And now regular people are paying the price. Families torn apart. Communities destroyed. Lives ended. Because someone decided 40 years ago that proper waste disposal was too expensive or too complicated. It's 12:21. I'm getting angry and I need to stay focused. Emily's monitoring police scanners, and she's hearing increased chatter about animal incidents. Multiple calls in the past hour alone. A dog attacked a jogger in a park 30 miles west of here. A raccoon bit a child in a backyard 40 miles north. A deer crashed into a school bus 50 miles south, injured several students before being subdued. The wildlife vector is spreading the infection far faster than human-to-human transmission. Animals travel long distances. They don't respect quarantine boundaries. They don't show up on checkpoints. They're everywhere and anywhere. Animal control and wildlife services are overwhelmed. They don't have the resources to respond to every call. They're prioritizing based on threat level, but that means some calls go unanswered for hours. And in those hours, infected animals can attack multiple people, create multiple new outbreaks. The state needs to authorize hunters, private citizens with weapons and training to eliminate suspicious wildlife on site. It needs to be legal and encouraged. Otherwise, the agencies can't keep up with the volume of incident. But that raises its own problems. Armed civilians hunting animals may be mistaking healthy animals for infected ones, maybe accidentally shooting pets or livestock, maybe shooting each other in the confusion. It could turn into chaos quickly. There are no good options. Every choice has risks, but doing nothing isn't an option either. It's 12:29. County Memorial Hospital has evacuated all non-critical patients. They're down to just the isolation unit and essential staff. The hospital is essentially locked down, operating at minimal capacity. Other hospitals in the region are taking on the patient load, but they're starting to feel the strain. If this continues for days or weeks, the healthcare system is going to buckle. There are only so many beds, so many doctors and nurses, and if medical staff start getting infected, if hospitals have to close or reduce capacity because they can't maintain safety, people with normal medical emergencies are going to suffer. Heart attacks, strokes, accidents, all the regular reasons people need hospitals. Those people might not get the care they need because the system is overwhelmed by the outbreak. This is how a localized crisis becomes a systemic failure. The outbreak doesn't just hurt people who get infected, it hurts everyone who depends on the services and infrastructure that get disrupted by the outbreak response. Emily's showing me economic projections someone sent her. The state's economy is going to take a massive hit. Businesses closed, supply chains disrupted, workers unable to get to jobs, consumer spending dropping as people stockpile supplies. The region could see a recession, high unemployment, bankruptcies, and that's if the outbreak is contained relatively quickly. If it goes on for weeks or months, the economic damage could be catastrophic. Money seems trivial compared to lives, but economic collapse means people can't afford food, can't pay rent, lose access to health care. Economic damage translates to human suffering in very direct ways, so the financial impact matters, even if it feels crude to think about money while people are dying. It's 12:37. I'm realizing we're past the halfway point of a normal workday. People who went to work this morning expecting a regular Thursday are now hearing about a state of emergency, seeing coworkers leave early, maybe being told their workplace is closing temporarily. Normal routines are disintegrating. My producer just checked in. He wants to know how long I'm planning to keep this broadcast going. I told him as long as necessary. He's worried about me, worried about Emily, worried about the toll this is taking. But what else can we do? People need information. We're one of the main sources right now. I can't just sign off and go home. Oh, where my wife is hopefully safe behind locked doors. I keep thinking about calling her again, but I don't want to tie up the line in case important calls come through. And what would I say anyway? The situation hasn't changed from an hour ago. Still dangerous, still evolving, still no clear end in sight. The National Guard has now cleared 7 of 10 sectors in Millwood. They're reporting a declining number of infected encounters in the cleared sectors, which suggests they're making real progress. But the final 3 sectors are the most heavily infected according to reports. The clinic is in one of those sectors. The Guard is saving the worst for last, building up their strength and coordination before tackling the densest concentrations of infection. It's 12:45 p.m. Emily's taking a call. She's listening intently. She's making notes. She's thanking whoever she's talking to and hanging up. That was someone from the CDC. They've made a significant discovery. The bacteria causing the infection is extremely sensitive to high heat. Temperatures above 150 degrees Fahrenheit kill the bacteria rapidly. That means fire, boiling water, anything that generates intense heat can neutralize the infection. This has immediate practical applications. Bodies of infected individuals should be burned, not buried. Contaminated materials should be incinerated. Areas with high contamination should potentially be subjected to controlled burn. It's not a cure for living infected individuals, but it's a way to prevent further spread from dead bodies and contaminated environment. The military is going to love this information. Flamethrowers, incendiary grenades, controlled burns, these are tools they have, tools they can use effectively. And fire has a psychological impact too. It's final, it's absolute, it destroys completely. There's no ambiguity, no chance of infection surviving. But using fire in populated areas is risky. Structures can catch fire, burns can spread out of control, people can be endangered. It has to be done carefully, with proper precautions. Still, it's a tool that wasn't available before. Knowledge is power. It's 12:52. The State Health Department is issuing new guidelines based on the CDC findings. If you encounter an infected individual, use fire as safely possible. If you must dispose of a body that might be infected, burn it. If you have contaminated materials, burn them. Minimize handling, maximize destruction through heat. They're also advising that anyone who suspects they might have been exposed should self-isolate immediately and monitor for symptoms. Fever, confusion, aggression, these are the warning signs. If symptoms appear, you have hours at most. Use that time to restrain yourself or secure yourself away from others. Don't risk infecting your family by staying near them once symptoms start. It's grim advice, essentially telling people to prepare for their own death if they get infected. But it's honest, it's practical. It gives people control over their final hours, allows them to make choices that protect others even if they can't save themselves. I wonder how many people will follow that advice. How many people feeling symptoms start will lock themselves away and wait to die alone? How many will deny it, stay close to loved ones, refuse to accept what's happening? Human nature is to seek comfort in crisis, to be near family. Asking people to isolate themselves in their final moments goes against every instinct. But it's necessary. One infected person in a household can kill and infect everyone else in that household within hours. Then you have an entire family that's infected, reanimated, a threat to the neighborhood. Isolation saves lives, even if it means dying alone. It's 1:00 p.m. We're past 6 hours of continuous broadcasting. I'm feeling the fatigue now. My voice is getting hoarse. My eyes are tired from staring at screens and notes. But I can't stop. Not yet. The National Guard is preparing to assault the final 3 sectors of Millwood. They're bringing in additional firepower using the CDC's new information to plan fire-based tactics. They're going to burn out the infected, clear the sectors with overwhelming force. It's going to be loud, violent, destructive, but it should be effective. Survivors in those sectors, if there are any, are being advised to make their presence known now. Signal from windows, call the guards hotline, use whatever method you can to identify yourself as human before the assault begins. Once it starts, anyone moving in those sectors will be assumed infected and engaged. That's a horrifying ultimatum. Reveal yourself now or risk being killed as infected, but there's no safe way to verify who's human and who's infected during active combat. The guard can't risk close contact, can't risk letting infected get close enough to bite, so they have to make hard rules and live with the consequences. It's 1-8. Emily's got new reports from Ashford. The guard units there have encountered significant resistance. The town is smaller than Millwood, but the outbreak spread faster because there wasn't an initial containment attempt. Infected individuals moved freely through the town overnight, infecting residents who had no idea what was happening. By the time the guard arrived to establish a quarantine, much of the town was already infected. The guard is recommending a full evacuation of Ashford survivors, followed by a systematic elimination of all infected. They're talking about using the fire strategy the CDC recommended, potentially burning significant portions of the town to ensure complete eradication of the infection. It's a drastic measure, but Ashford might be too far gone for a sector-by-sector clearing like in Millwood. Imagine being a resident of Ashford watching your town burn, watching your home, your memories, everything you've built consumed by fire because it's the only way to stop the infection. The psychological impact of that is immeasurable. Even if you survive physically, how do you recover mentally from losing everything? But what's the alternative? Let the infection spread beyond Ashford, risk more deaths, risk more towns suffering the same fate. Sometimes there are no good choices. Sometimes every option is terrible and you have to pick the least terrible one. It's 1:16. I'm hearing sirens again. Multiple emergency vehicles passing near the studio. I don't know what the emergency is. Could be anything. Could be related to the outbreak, could be a normal emergency that's happening because life doesn't stop just because there's a crisis. Emily's monitoring local emergency channels. There's been a traffic accident on the interstate, major pileup. Apparently someone's car had what witnesses describe as a person going crazy inside, causing the driver to lose control and collide with other vehicles. The description sounds like an infected individual attacked someone while they were driving. If that's true, it means the infection has reached the interstate, reached people who are evacuating or traveling through the region. A car accident on a busy highway can spread the infection to first responders, to other drivers who stop to help, to medical personnel at the hospital where victims are taken. It's a vector for transmission that's hard to control. The state police are responding to the accident. They've been briefed on the infection, know to look for signs of unusual aggression or behavior. But in the chaos of a multi-vehicle pileup, it's difficult to distinguish between shock and injury and actual infection. People are hurt, bleeding, confused. How do you determine who's infected and who's just traumatized? This is going to happen more and more. Infected people getting into cars, spreading the infection beyond the immediate outbreak zones. Infected people on buses, trains, any form of transportation. Each one is a potential outbreak in a new location. The state needs to shut down all transportation in and out of the affected region. Halt all traffic, ground all flights, stop all trains and buses. It's extreme but necessary to prevent the infection from spreading nationally or internationally. We need to treat this region like a sealed box. Nothing in, nothing out until the infection is eradicated. But implementing that level of lockdown requires federal authority, massive resources, coordination across multiple states. It's not something the state governor can do alone. It requires the president, requires federal emergency declarations, requires resources that aren't immediately available. And even if they implement a full travel ban, some people will already have left. Some infected individuals might already be in other states, in other regions, incubating the disease. We might be past the point where containment to one region is possible. It's 1:25. I don't want to think about national spread. I don't want to imagine this infection reaching major cities, spreading through airports, infecting thousands or millions. But I have to consider the possibility we all do this could be the beginning of something much larger than a regional outbreak. The CDC is coordinating with federal health agencies to implement screening at transportation hubs nationwide. Anyone traveling from the affected region will be screened for symptoms. Anyone with fever or unusual behavior will be detained and isolated. It's not perfect, but it's something. The problem is the incubation period. Someone can pass through screening feeling fine, develop symptoms hours later after they've reached their destination. By then, they've exposed everyone they encounter during travel. The only truly safe approach is to halt all travel entirely, but that's economically and logistically almost impossible to implement nationwide. Emily's showing me reports from other states. Several have issued travel advisories warning residents not to visit the affected region. Some are implementing voluntary quarantines for anyone who's been there recently. A few are going further, threatening mandatory quarantines or even refusing entry to travelers from affected areas. This is how it starts. States isolating from each other, treating each other as threats. The national unity fractures along state lines. Resources aren't shared. Information isn't shared. Everyone looks out for their own interest. It makes the crisis harder to manage and ensures that when the infection does spread to other states, each one will be starting from scratch, making the same mistakes we're making now. We need federal leadership. We need a coordinated national response. We need someone to stand up and say, this is what we're doing, this is the plan, everyone follow this protocol. But in the absence of that leadership, everyone's improvising, making decisions based on incomplete information and local priorities. It's 1:34 p.m. We're approaching 7 hours of broadcasting. My throat is raw. I'm drinking water constantly, but it's not enough. Emily's voice is going too. We're both exhausted, but we keep going. The National Guard assault on the final sectors of Millwood has begun. We're getting audio, sounds of sustained gunfire, explosions. What might be flamethrowers? It's intense urban combat against an enemy that doesn't retreat, doesn't surrender, doesn't feel fear or pain. The Guard is advancing slowly, clearing building by building, ensuring no infected are left behind. Casualty reports are coming in, more Guard members bitten, more soldiers infected and isolated. The cost of clearing Millwood is being measured in lives and good people who responded to the crisis and paid the ultimate price. These soldiers deserve to be remembered as heroes. They're fighting the worst kind of enemy to protect people they don't know. That's heroism. But heroism doesn't make you immune to infection. It doesn't make the sacrifice any less tragic. These soldiers are dying and reanimating and being destroyed by their own comrades. There's no glory in that, no comfort for their families, just lost. It's 1:42. Emily's got word that FEMA has arrived in the region. They're setting up a regional coordination center, bringing together all the different agencies and units responding to the outbreak. Finally, we have centralized command, someone to coordinate the chaos. FEMA has experience with large-scale disasters, has protocols and procedures that can be adapted to this situation. The FEMA director on scene is holding a briefing. Emily's pulling up the audio feed. Let me listen and relay the key point. The director is outlining the federal response plan. First priority is containment, preventing spread beyond the current affected area. Second priority is elimination of infected individuals to reduce the threat. Third priority is care for survivors and displaced persons. Fourth priority is remediation of the contamination source. Fifth priority is long-term recovery and rebuilding. She's allocating resources to each priority. Additional military units for containment and elimination. Medical teams for survivor care. Environmental specialists for remediation. Mental health professionals for long-term support. It's comprehensive, it's organized, it's what we've needed since this started. But it's also reactive. Everything she's describing is a response to what's already happened. There's nothing about prevention, nothing about proactive measures to stop future outbreaks. I guess that comes later after the immediate crisis is handled, but I hope someone's thinking about long-term implications, about what we do to prevent this from happening again. Its fault on Millwood's final sectors is progressing. The Guard is reporting heavy concentrations of infected near the clinic, exactly as expected. They're using incendiary weapons, burning out buildings where infected are concentrated. The fires are visible from aerial surveillance, thick black smoke rising over the town. Millwood is burning, not the whole town, but significant portions of it. The Guard is being careful, containing the fires to structures they're clearing, but still, the town is being destroyed in order to save it, in order to eliminate the infection. Residents who evacuated are going to return to a town that's partially burned, partially demolished, permanently scarred by what happened here. Can a town recover from something like this? Can you rebuild not just physically but psychologically after your community was overrun by infected, after neighbors turned on each other, after the military had to burn parts of the town to stop the spread? I don't know. Maybe some places, some communities are too traumatized to ever be whole again. It's 1:59, top of the hour, 2 in the afternoon. We've been broadcasting for over 7 hours. I need a real break, more than 5 minutes. Emily needs one too. We're going to step away for 15 minutes, get some food, rest our voices. Another broadcaster from the station is going to fill in, play some recorded updates, an official statement. We'll be back at 2:15. This is Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. Stay safe, everyone. We're back. It's 2:17. I know I said 2:15, but I needed those extra 2 minutes. I'm eating a protein bar and drinking an energy drink because coffee isn't cutting it anymore. Emily's doing the same. We look like disaster victims ourselves, pale and exhausted, but we're not the ones fighting infected or treating wounded or making life or death decisions. We have it easy. During the break, I checked my phone again. More messages, too many to respond to individually. One stands out, though. It's from a colleague, another broadcaster in a different market. He's asking if I want him to take over, let me rest. I appreciate the offer, but I can't accept. This is my station, my city, my responsibility. I'll keep going until I physically can't. Emily's got new information. The assault on Millwood is nearly complete. The Guard has cleared 8 of 10 sectors. Only 2 sectors remain, including the clinic. The infected have been concentrated by the advancing Guard forces, pushed into a smaller and smaller area. They're essentially trapped now, surrounded by military units with heavy weapons. The final assault is going to be overwhelming. The Guard is bringing in everything they have, determined to eliminate every infected in Millwood by nightfall. They want the town secure before dark because fighting infected at night is even more dangerous. The infected don't need light to function. They attack by sound and movement. Darkness favors them. So the clock is ticking. They have maybe 4 hours of good daylight left. 4 hours to eliminate potentially hundreds of infected in close quarters. It's going to be bloody, brutal, intense, and unavoidably tragic because among those infected are people or were people. Someone's mother, someone's child. Now just targets to be destroyed. It's 2025. The environmental team at the nuclear waste site is beginning emergency containment measures. They're sealing the most critical breaches with temporary patches, essentially plugging holes until permanent repairs can be made. They're setting up pumps to redirect contaminated water away from natural drainage paths. They're marking a larger exclusion zone to keep people and animals away. These measures will slow the contamination but won't stop it entirely. Think of it like trying to patch a leaking dam with duct tape. It helps, but it's not a real solution. The real solution requires massive construction projects. Specialized materials, probably months of work, but every little bit helps. Every gallon of contaminated water that doesn't reach a stream is a potential infection prevented. The hydrologist is recommending that all surface water in the region be tested and possibly treated. Streams, ponds, lakes, anything that might have been contaminated. The testing alone will take weeks. Treating the water, if it's contaminated, could take months. And in the meantime, people and animals continue to use that water, continue to be potentially exposed. This is a long-term problem. Even if we eliminate every infected individual today, even if we stop all new transmissions, the contamination remains. It's in the environment. It'll be there for years, decades maybe, slowly breaking down or being diluted, but never truly gone. We've permanently altered the ecosystem of this region. It's 2D30. Emily's monitoring social media, and she's seeing a lot of panic, but also a lot of resilience. People are helping each other, sharing resources, checking on neighbors. Communities are coming together in response to the crisis. That's humanity at its best. When things are darkest, people reach out to each other, support each other, refuse to give in to despair. But she's also seeing ugly stuff. Looting in some areas, people taking advantage of the chaos to steal. Price gouging, stores charging exorbitant amounts for basic supplies. Scams, people claiming to have cures or protective equipment that doesn't actually work. Crisis brings out the best and worst in people simultaneously. Law enforcement is stretched thin dealing with the outbreak, so property crimes are going under-responded. People are reporting break-ins, thefts, assaults, but police can't respond quickly. They're focused on the infection, on enforcing quarantines, on preventing spread. Normal crime becomes secondary. This is another way the outbreak impacts everyone, not just people directly exposed to the infection. The breakdown of normal social order affects everyone's safety and security. We take for granted that police will respond to emergencies, that rules will be enforced, that society functions. When that breaks down, even temporarily, it's alarming. It's 2:41. County Memorial Hospital is reporting that the nurse who was bitten has died. She reanimated quickly, was fully secured. No additional infections resulted. But the staff who knew her, who worked with her, they're devastated. She was a colleague, a friend, and they had to watch her die and turn and be restrained like an animal. That trauma is going to stay with them. The hospital administrator is implementing new protocols. Any staff member who's exposed in any way is immediately removed from duty and isolated, no exceptions. It's harsh, but necessary. One infected staff member loose in a hospital could kill dozens of vulnerable patients before being stopped. Can't risk it. But this policy means the hospital is operating short-staffed. Every exposure removes someone from the workforce. And exposure is easy in a hospital environment where you're dealing with blood, bodily fluids, agitated patients. The staff are exhausted, making mistakes, getting accidentally stuck with needles or splashed with fluids. Each incident means another person isolated, another person potentially infected. The hospital might have to close entirely if they lose too many staff. Then where do people go for medical care? The next nearest hospital is 30 miles away, and if this pattern repeats at other hospitals, if they all start losing staff to infection or isolation, the regional healthcare system collapses completely. It's 2:49. We're getting reports of infected individuals spotted in multiple locations outside the quarantine zones. Small numbers, ones and twos, but scattered across a wide area. These are probably people who left Millwood or Ashford before the quarantine, people who were infected and died in their cars or at their destinations, then reanimated and started attacking. Each one of these is a potential new outbreak. Each one needs to be located and eliminated before they can infect others. But tracking them down is difficult. They could be anywhere, in a parking lot, in a hotel, in someone's home. And we only know they're there after they attack someone, by which point they've already created a new infection. The state police are organizing search teams, coordinating with local law enforcement to track down reported sightings. But it's reactive, chasing outbreaks after they start rather than preventing them. We need to find a way to get ahead of this to identify infected individuals before they spread the disease. Maybe checkpoints on major roads, screening all travelers, detaining anyone with injuries or symptoms. It's not perfect, but it's something. Better to inconvenience thousands of healthy people than let one infected person through to start a new outbreak. It's 2057. The National Guard is preparing for the final assault on the clinic in Millwood. This is the epicenter where it all started, where the highest concentration of infected remains. The Guard is bringing overwhelming force, determined to end this decisively. They're asking all media to stop broadcasting live from Millwood during the assault. They don't want the public to see what's about to happen. It's going to be violent, graphic, disturbing. They're worried about the psychological impact of watching it, about how people will react to seeing the military use such extreme force against what look like civilians. I understand the concern, but I also think people deserve to know the truth. We can't shelter people from reality, especially when that reality is going to affect everyone's lives going forward. If the assault is brutal, people need to see that, need to understand the severity of what we're dealing with. But I'm not on the scene. I don't have video feed from Millwood. So the question is moot for us. We'll report what we hear, what we learn from official sources, but we won't show anything graphic. That's probably for the best. It's 3:05. The assault has begun. We're hearing it through radio communications, military channels that are being monitored by various agencies, heavy weapons fire, sustained bursts, explosions. The Guard is pouring firepower into the clinic and the surrounding block. Emily's monitoring the military channel. The Guard commander is giving orders, directing units, calling for fire support. It sounds chaotic, but controlled, disciplined violence applied systematically. They're advancing building by building, clearing structures, burning out infected concentration. The infected are swarming the Guard positions. According to radio traffic, there are hundreds of them, far more than anticipated. They're overwhelming defensive positions, forcing Guard units to retreat and reposition. The Guard is using vehicles as barriers, creating choke points where they can maximize firepower. This is the largest engagement yet between military forces and infected. We're about to learn whether conventional military tactics work against reanimated infected. If the Guard succeeds, it proves the infection can be contained through force. If they struggle or fail, we need to rethink our entire response strategy. It's 3:13. The battle is ongoing. Casualties are mounting on both sides, though it feels wrong to call destroyed infected casualties. They're not soldiers, they're not combatants. They're victims who became weapons. But from a tactical perspective, they're targets that need to be eliminated, and the Guard is suffering losses trying to do that. At least 20 Guard members have been bitten in the past 30 minutes. 20 more soldiers infected, dying, reanimating. The isolation area at the high school is filling up with Guard members waiting to turn. These are people who were healthy and alive 2 hours ago. Now they're dying, spending their final moments restrained in a classroom, listening to their comrades fight while they wait for the end. The Guard commander is requesting additional support. He's saying his forces are at their limit, that they need fresh troops, more ammunition, more heavy weapons. FEMA is coordinating the response, trying to bring in reinforcements from neighboring states, but it takes time to mobilize and deploy. Emily's got a message from the CDC. They've completed more detailed analysis of the infection. The bacteria reproduces so rapidly that it reaches critical mass in the bloodstream within 3 to 4 hours of exposure. Once it reaches critical mass, it begins attacking neural tissue aggressively. The victim experiences fever, confusion, aggression as the brain is destroyed from the inside. Death follows within 1 to 2 hours after symptoms begin. So from bite to death, you're looking at 4 to 6 hours maximum. From death to reanimation, 5 to 10 minutes. That's the timeline. That's how fast this moves. If someone's bitten at noon, they're dead by 6 p.m., reanimated by 6:15. In a single day, one infected person could theoretically create dozens of new infected if left unchecked. The exponential math is terrifying. If we don't achieve complete containment soon, if infected individuals continue to spread out from the outbreak zones, the numbers become unmanageable. We could see thousands infected within days, tens of thousands within a week. At that point, the military and medical resources don't exist to contain it. It's 3:21. I'm watching the clock now, watching the sun angle through the window. We have maybe 3 hours of good daylight left. After dark, everything becomes harder. The infected are easier to miss in darkness. They can approach without being seen. Defenders can't see what they're shooting at, might hesitate, might miss. The Guard needs to finish clearing Millwood before nightfall. They need to eliminate every infected, secure every building, ensure the town is truly clear. If any infected remain when darkness comes, they could slip away, hide, survive until the Guard leaves, then start the infection spreading again. This is a fight against time as much as a fight against the infected. Every minute counts. Every delay is a risk. Emily's showing me aerial footage from Millwood. Large portions of the town are on fire. The Guard has used incendiary weapons extensively, burning out buildings where infected concentrated. Smoke is visible for miles, a dark column rising into the clear afternoon sky. The town looks like a war zone. Actually, it is a war zone. This is urban warfare, as brutal as any combat in history. The civilian population that evacuated, they're watching this footage too. They're seeing their homes burned, their town destroyed. How do you process that? How do you accept that your entire life, everything you built, is being consumed by fire because it's the only way to stop the infection? And will they even be allowed to return? Once the infection is cleared, once the fires are out, will Millwood be safe to inhabit? Or will the contamination, the radiation from the waste site, the bacteria in the environment, make it permanently uninhabitable? These people might be refugees, not temporarily displaced, but permanently homeless. It's 3:29. The state is setting up emergency shelters for evacuees from Millwood, Ashford, and surrounding areas. Schools, community centers, churches, anywhere with space and facilities. FEMA is providing resources, cots, food, medical supplies, but these are temporary measures. Long-term housing for potentially thousands of displaced people is a massive undertaking. Some evacuees have family elsewhere, can stay with relatives or friends, but many don't. Many are going to be dependent on emergency services for weeks or months, and the psychological trauma, the stress of displacement, the uncertainty about the future, that's going to take a toll. We're going to see mental health crises, domestic violence, substance abuse, all the problems that arise when people are pushed beyond their capacity to cope. Social services are already overwhelmed, already struggling to handle the volume of need, and this is just one region, one outbreak. If this spreads nationally, if other regions face similar crises, the entire social support system could collapse under the weight. The federal government needs to allocate massive resources to this, needs to treat it as a national emergency on par with a major natural disaster. But I don't know if that's happening. I don't know if the people in Washington understand the scale and severity of what we're facing here. It's 3:37. The battle at the Millwood Clinic is reaching a critical point. The Guard has pushed the infected into a concentrated area, essentially surrounded them. They're preparing to use overwhelming firepower to eliminate them all at once. It's going to be loud, violent, final. I'm thinking about the people who are infected, who are about to be destroyed. They were teachers, store clerks, parents, children. They had lives, had dreams, had people who loved them, The infection took all that away, turned them into monsters, and now they're going to be burned away like they never existed. There should be some kind of memorial, some way to honor who they were before the infection. They're victims, not villains. They didn't choose this, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, drank contaminated water, or were bitten by an infected animal or attacked by an infected neighbor. They deserve to be remembered as people, not as infected targets, but there's no time for that now. Right now, they're threats that need to be eliminated. The morning comes later if we survive to do it. It's 3:45. Emily's getting reports that the Guard is advancing using armored vehicles as mobile cover, pouring fire into the concentrated infected. The sound must be deafening. The violence must be overwhelming. But it's working. The infected are being destroyed systematically, efficiently, brutally. Within the next hour, Millwood should be secure. The town will be burned and bloodied, but it will be clear of infected. That's the first major victory in this crisis. It proves the infection can be stopped, can be contained through determined military action. It gives us hope that other outbreaks can be handled similarly. But at what cost? Dozens of Guard members infected and dying. A town partially destroyed. Hundreds of civilians dead. The economic and psychological damage immeasurable. This is victory, but it doesn't feel victorious. It feels like survival, barely at terrible cost. The FEMA director is preparing a statement. Emily's pulling up the feed. Let me listen and relay the important part. She's announcing that Millwood is expected to be fully secured within the next 2 hours. She's confirming that Ashford will be evacuated completely and then systematically cleared using fire-based tactics. She's announcing expanded quarantine zones around both towns, nobody in or out for at least 72 hours, while they ensure no infected remain. She's addressing the wildlife vector. Teams are being deployed to hunt and eliminate infected animals throughout the region. Residents are advised to stay indoors at dawn and dusk when animals are most active. Any aggressive or unusual animal behavior should be reported immediately. She's announcing that all water sources in the affected region should be considered potentially contaminated. Do not drink untreated water. Boil all water for at least 10 minutes before drinking. Bottled water is being distributed to areas without safe municipal supplies. She's confirming that the nuclear waste site is being sealed and contained. With long-term remediation to follow, she's acknowledging that the site has been leaking for an unknown period, possibly years, and that the contamination has spread through groundwater and surface water across a wide area. She's saying that the state and federal government are committed to supporting affected communities, providing resources for recovery and rebuilding. She's saying this is a national emergency and will be treated as such with the full weight of federal resources behind it. It's a good statement, clear, comprehensive, honest about the challenges, but I wonder if she understands that we might be past the point of containment. The infected individuals who left before the quarantine, the animals that spread the contamination, they're out there, creating new outbreaks. This isn't over. It might just be beginning. It's 3:54. We're approaching the 4-hour mark since we came back from the longer break. 8 hours total of broadcasting with just brief interruptions. I'm running on fumes and adrenaline. Emily's in worse shape than me. She looks like she's about to collapse, but we keep going. The Guard is reporting that organized resistance in Millwood has ended. The concentrated infected at the clinic have been eliminated. Now they're doing building-to-building searches looking for any remaining infected that might be hiding or isolated. This phase is slower, more methodical, but necessary. Can't leave any infected behind. They're also collecting bodies, both of infected and of victims who died but didn't reanimate because they weren't infective. The bodies are being burned in a designated area on the outskirts of town. The smoke from that burn is adding to the smoke from the building fires. The whole area must smell of death and burning. The psychological impact on the Guard members doing this work is going to be severe. You can't do what they're doing, see what they're seeing, participate in what amounts to mass destruction of human bodies, and come away unscathed psychologically. These soldiers are going to need years of therapy, support, understanding. Some of them will never be the same. It's 4:02. The sun is getting lower. We have maybe 2.5 hours of daylight left. The Guard is racing to finish the Millwood clearing before dark. They're ahead of schedule, which is good. They might actually finish with time to spare. Emily's got new reports of infected sightings. One on Highway 89, about 60 miles west of here. One in a small town called Riverside, 70 miles north. One in a rural area 50 miles south. These are scattered, isolated incidents so far, but they confirm that infected individuals made it out of the initial outbreak zone before quarantine was established. Each of these sightings is being responded to by local law enforcement with support from state resources. The protocol now is to isolate the infected, eliminate them using headshots or fires, secure the area, and test anyone who came into contact with them. It's a standardized response that's being implemented region-wide, but I worry about the sightings we don't know about. The infected individuals who haven't been spotted yet, who are in remote areas or moving through regions without much population. They're out there, wandering, maybe attacking people who won't be found for days. Each one is a time bomb waiting to create a new outbreak. The state needs to implement a public alert system. If an infected individual is spotted in an area, everyone in that area gets an immediate alert on their phones, like an Amber Alert, but for infected sightings. Give people the information they need to stay safe, to avoid the area, to be on the lookout. It's 4:11. My phone's vibrating again. Another text from my wife. She's hearing gunshots in the distance several blocks away. She's scared, asking if she should hide, if she should leave, if she's safe. I'm texting back, telling her to stay away from windows, lock herself in an interior room, call 911 if she sees anything unusual. But I don't know if she's safe. I don't know if any of us are safe anymore. I want to leave, want to go home and be with her, but I can't. People are depending on this broadcast for information. I can't abandon them, can't leave them in the dark. So I stay here doing my job, hoping my wife stays safe, hoping I'll see her again. Emily's checking what the gunshots are about. Police scanner shows officers responding to a report of an aggressive individual attacking people in a residential area. Could be an infected, could be something else. Police are approaching with caution, treating it as a potential infection case. This is our city now, our city where police respond to attacks wearing protective gear, where gunshots in residential areas might be officers eliminating infected individuals. How did we get here? 24 hours ago, this was a normal city with normal problems. Now it's a potential outbreak site on the edge of chaos. It's 4:19. The police have engaged the individual. Shots fired. Emily's listening to the scanner. The suspect was showing classic infection symptoms, violent, incoherent, trying to bite officers. They had to shoot him multiple times to bring him down. He's been eliminated, but not before biting one officer through his protective gear. Another officer infected, another person dying, another family getting devastating news. This is happening in our city now, not somewhere distant. The infection is here. The police are securing the area, checking for other infected individuals or victims. They're interviewing witnesses, trying to determine how long this person had been infected, where they came from, who they might have exposed. Contact tracing is critical to prevent further spread. But contact tracing is slow, labor-intensive. Public health departments are overwhelmed, can't keep up with the volume of cases. People who were exposed might not be identified until after they've developed symptoms and infected others. The system is straining, starting to fail under the load. It's 4:27. FEMA is announcing the deployment of additional military units to the region. 3 more National Guard battalions plus regular Army units with specialized training. They'll arrive over the next 12 to 24 hours. That's significant reinforcement, hundreds of additional trained personnel with heavy weapons and equipment. The military is also establishing a unified command structure, bringing together all the different units under one command. General Marcus Stone is taking overall command of military operations in the region. He's experienced in disaster response, led operations during previous national emergencies. Having him in charge should improve coordination and decision-making. But even with reinforcements, even with unified command, the military is facing a unique challenge. This isn't a conventional enemy. You can't negotiate with the infected, can't demoralize them, can't make them retreat. They attack until they're destroyed. Fighting them is attrition warfare at its most brutal. You eliminate them one by one until they're all gone. And for every infected you eliminate, you risk your soldiers getting bitten, getting infected, becoming the enemy themselves. The psychological toll of fighting an enemy that literally turns your comrades against you is something military training doesn't really prepare you for. It's 4:35. The CDC is releasing updated infection statistics. They're confirming 217 eliminated infected in Millwood, 43 in Ashford, 16 in scattered locations across the region. That's 276 confirmed infected eliminated. They're estimating at least another 100 to 200 infected that haven't been located yet based on the number of missing persons reports and unconfirmed sightings. So we're looking at potentially 500 total infected, maybe more, and each of those infected probably exposed several other people before being eliminated. Not all exposures result in infection, but some do. The CDC is estimating that for every confirmed infected, there might be 2 to 3 additional people incubating the disease right now. If that ratio holds, we could see another 1,000 infections develop over the next few days. And if those aren't identified and contained quickly, each of them infects 2 to 3 more. The exponential growth continues unless we achieve complete containment. The CDC is recommending aggressive contact tracing, mandatory isolation of anyone who was exposed, and preemptive restraint of anyone showing early symptoms. It's invasive, it's harsh, but it's necessary to break the transmission chain. It's 4:43. Emily's showing me something disturbing. Social media posts from people claiming to have been bitten or exposed, asking what they should do. Some are considering suicide rather than turning into infected. Others are saying they're going to isolate themselves, but not tell authorities because they don't want to be restrained and forced to die alone. These posts reveal the human cost of this infection beyond just the physical. The psychological horror of knowing you're infected, knowing you're going to die and reanimate, knowing there's no hope. Some people would rather die by their own choice on their own terms than follow protocol. I understand that impulse, but it's dangerous. People who are infected need to be in controlled environments where they can't spread the disease when they turn. If they're alone at home, they might turn and then wander out, attack neighbors, spread the infection. But asking people to report themselves knowing they'll be restrained and isolated is asking them to choose a horrifying death. There's no good answer. The protocol is necessary for public safety, but it's cruel to the infected individuals. This is one of those situations where individual dignity conflicts with collective security, and we're choosing collective security because the alternative is uncontrolled spread. It's 4:51. The Millwood clearing operation is nearly complete. The Guard has searched every building, every vehicle, every possible hiding spot. They've found and eliminated 23 additional infected scattered throughout the town. They've also found survivors, 12 people who barricaded themselves and survived uninfected. Those survivors are being evacuated now, taken to screening facilities for testing. The town is declared secure as of 4:47 p.m. Millwood is clear. It took a full day, cost dozens of lives, destroyed significant portions of the town, but it's done. The infection has been eliminated from Millwood. This is a significant achievement. It proves that outbreaks can be contained and eliminated through determined military action. It provides a template for handling future outbreaks. It gives us hope, but Millwood is small, just a few thousand residents, relatively isolated, on terrain favorable to military operations. What happens when an outbreak occurs in a major city with hundreds of thousands of people, dense urban environments, complex infrastructure? Can the same tactics work there, or would it require a level of force and destruction that's unacceptable in a major population center? These are questions we need to be thinking about because the infection is still spreading. More outbreaks are likely. We need to be prepared for the worst-case scenario. It's 40:59, top of the hour, 5 p.m. We've been broadcasting for over 9 hours with only brief breaks. I can barely speak anymore. My voice is hoarse and cracking. Emily looks like she's going to pass out. But we're not done. The crisis isn't over. The operation in Ashford is about to begin. The Guard has completed evacuation of survivors and is preparing to systematically burn the town. Ashford is smaller than Millwood, easier to clear, but the infection spread more thoroughly there. The decision was made to use fire as the primary elimination method rather than attempting a building-by-building clearing like in Millwood. Residents of Ashford who evacuated are being told their town is going to be destroyed. Everything they owned, every building, burned to ensure complete eradication of the infection. It's a hard message to deliver. These people already lost their community to the outbreak. Now they're losing the physical place itself, but it's necessary. Ashford is too contaminated, too thoroughly infected to clear safely through conventional means. Fire is faster, more certain, more complete. It's the right tactical decision even if it's devastating for the resident. It's 5:07, the controlled burn of Ashford has begun. The Guard is using incendiary devices to ignite structures systematically, starting from one side of town and moving across. They're controlling the burn carefully, ensuring it doesn't spread to surrounding forest areas, ensuring it stays contained to the town itself. The fire is going to burn through the night. By morning, Ashford will be ash. A town that existed for over 100 years, that had history and culture and community, will be gone. Erased in a single evening because of contaminated water and mutated bacteria. I keep thinking about all the personal effects being destroyed. Family photos, heirlooms, children's artwork, wedding albums, all the small things that make up a life. All of it burning, turning to ash, lost forever. The residents will have only their memories left. No physical touchstones, no mementos, nothing to ground their memories in reality. That's another form of trauma, another layer of loss. The infection doesn't just kill people, it destroys everything, leaves nothing behind but ash and grief. It's 5:15. Emily's got an update on the nuclear waste site. The emergency containment measures are in place. The worst leaks have been sealed temporarily. Water flow has been redirected away from the most contaminated areas. The exclusion zone has been expanded and properly fenced, but the environmental team is confirming that contamination has spread extensively through the groundwater system. The aquifer that serves the region has been compromised. Testing is going to take weeks to determine the full extent of contamination, and treatment, if it's even possible, could take months or years. In the meantime, the entire region needs to be on bottled water. Municipal systems need to be tested and potentially shut down if contamination is detected. Private wells are all suspect. Tens of thousands of people dependent on water infrastructure that might be unusable. FEMA is coordinating water distribution, bringing in tanker trucks, establishing distribution points, but it's a massive logistical undertaking. People need water daily, gallons per person for drinking, cooking, sanitation. Keeping an entire region supplied with bottled water for an extended period is challenging and expensive. The long-term solution is to fix or replace the contaminated water infrastructure, but that's a project that will take years and billions of dollars. In the meantime, this region is dependent on emergency water supplies. That's not sustainable indefinitely. It's 5:23. I'm watching the clock again. The sun is getting low. We have maybe an hour and a half of daylight left. After that, darkness. And in the darkness, infected individuals are harder to spot, easier to miss. The hunt for scattered infected is going to become much more difficult once night falls. The state police and National Guard are shifting tactics for nighttime operations. They're using thermal imaging, night vision equipment, portable lighting systems. They're setting up patrols and checkpoints, establishing lighted secure zones where civilians can shelter safely. They're preparing for the possibility of nighttime encounters with infected, but darkness favors the infected. They don't need to see. They attack based on sound and movement. A patrol in the dark making noise using lights is drawing infected toward them. It's necessary work, but dangerous work. The military is accepting that there will be more casualties during night operations. They're preparing medical support, evacuation procedures, isolation protocols for bitten soldiers. They're treating night operations as high risk, sending out only experienced units with proper support. It's 5:31. Emily's showing me something on her tablet, satellite imagery of the region updated in real time. You can see the smoke from Millwood and Ashford, large plumes visible from space. You can see the concentration of military vehicles and equipment around both towns. You can see the road checkpoints, little clusters of vehicles blocking routes, and you can see something else. Heat signatures in the forests, moving patterns that might be infected animals or infected humans wandering through the wilderness. There are dozens of them, scattered across hundreds of square miles. Each one is a potential outbreak waiting to happen if they encounter human. The military can't possibly track down all of them. The forest is too large, too dense, too difficult to search systematically. Some infected are going to remain at large, wandering through the wilderness until they die of exposure or injury, or until they encounter someone and create a new outbreak. This is the wildlife vector problem writ large. You can secure towns, can establish quarantine zones, can control human movement, but you can't control the infected wandering through forests and rural areas. They're going to be out there for days, weeks, maybe longer. The state is going to have to implement long-term monitoring, keep search teams active, respond to sightings aggressively. This isn't a problem that gets solved in a day or a week. It's going to be ongoing for the foreseeable future. It's 5:39. My phone's vibrating. My wife again. The gunshots have stopped. Police are going door to door in her neighborhood, checking on residents, looking for any signs of infection. She's scared to open the door even for police. I don't blame her. In the chaos, how do you know who's really police and who's someone pretending to be police? How do you know who to trust? I'm telling her to ask for identification through the door, verify their names with 911 dispatch before opening. It's probably overkill, probably unnecessary caution, but better safe than sorry. Trust is eroding in this crisis. When you can't trust that your neighbor isn't infected, can't trust that the person at your door is who they claim to be, social cohesion breaks down. That breakdown is as dangerous as the infection itself in some ways. Society functions on trust, on shared norms and expectations. When that dissolves, when everyone becomes suspicious of everyone else, you get isolation, paranoia, conflict. We're not there yet, but we're heading in that direction if this continues. It's 5:47. The CDC is releasing more information about the mutation that caused this infection. The bacteria, originally a common soil bacteria, was exposed to radiation from the waste site for decades. The radiation caused rapid genetic mutations most of which were non-viable. But some mutations survived, and those mutations continued to mutate in the radioactive environment. What emerged was a bacteria that's extraordinarily aggressive, that reproduces rapidly, that targets neural tissue specifically. The CDC is calling it a supermutation, a bacteria that evolved in ways that normally take millions of years but happened in decades due to the extreme selective pressure of the radioactive environment. This bacteria is unlike anything in the medical literature. It's not responding to antibiotics because it's so genetically different from the original species that standard treatments don't recognize it. Developing a treatment is going to require understanding its genetic structure completely, identifying its vulnerabilities, designing new drugs specifically targeting this mutation. That's years of work. Best case scenario, we're looking at months for initial treatment options, years for a cure. In the meantime, the only response to infection is elimination. Kill the infected before they can spread the disease. It's brutal, but it's all we have right now. It's 5:55. The sun is low on the horizon now. Twilight is approaching. The quality of light is changing. Shadows are lengthening. Soon it'll be dark and the night operations will begin in earnest. Emily's monitoring police and military channels. Units are checking in, confirming their positions, preparing for night watch. There's a tension in the communications, an edge. Everyone knows nighttime is more dangerous. Everyone knows the next 12 hours are going to be challenging. The civilian population is being advised to stay indoors after dark, keep lights on, lock all doors and windows, report any unusual sounds or activity. Essentially shelter-in-place orders without officially calling them that. The authorities don't want to cause more panic than already exists, but they want people safe. Some people are complying. Others are using the cover of darkness to leave, to evacuate, despite the quarantine orders. They're slipping past checkpoints, taking back roads, doing whatever they can to get out of the region. Can't really blame them. If I wasn't here doing this broadcast, I'd probably be trying to get my wife out too. But every person who leaves without being screened is a risk. They might be carrying the infection. They might develop symptoms hundreds of miles away, create a new outbreak in a region that's unprepared. This is how local outbreaks become national or global pandemics. Uncontrolled movement of infected individuals. It's 6013. Darkness is falling. The streetlights outside the studio are coming on. The world is transitioning from day to night, from relative safety to increased danger. I can feel the tension, the fear. Night is when bad things happen in crisis situations. Night is when defenses fail, when things go wrong, when people die. The National Guard is lighting up their positions, using generators to power floodlights, creating islands of light in the darkness. Checkpoints are lit up like daylight, making it impossible for infected to approach unseen. Patrol routes are being marked with portable lights, creating safe corridors through the darkness. But outside those lighted areas, darkness, complete darkness. In many rural areas with no power, no street lights, no ambient light from buildings. In that darkness, infected could be anywhere, moving, hunting, searching for prey. The Guard is using thermal imaging to sweep dark areas looking for heat signatures that might indicate infected. But thermal imaging isn't perfect. It can miss things, can be fooled by environmental factors. It's a tool, but not a guarantee. It's 6:11. Emily's got a report from a patrol that encountered infected in a rural area. 3 infected wandering together, moving along a county road. The patrol engaged them with spotlights and gunfire. All 3 were eliminated, but not before getting close enough to the patrol vehicle to attack it, damaging the vehicle and forcing the patrol to retreat. The patrol is calling for backup, saying there might be more infected in the area. They're requesting air support, helicopter with searchlights to do aerial reconnaissance, but helicopter support is limited. Already deployed to multiple locations. The patrol might have to wait, might have to hold their position in the dark knowing infected are nearby. This is the danger of night operations. Limited visibility, limited mobility, limited options. You're defending a position in the dark, knowing the enemy is out there but not knowing exactly where. It's psychologically draining, terrifying. The soldiers doing this work are incredibly brave. They're putting themselves at extreme risk, functioning in conditions that would break most people. They deserve every bit of support and recognition we can give them. It's 6:19. We're past 9.5 hours of continuous broadcasting. I need to eat something. Need to rest my voice. Emily needs the same. We're going to take another break, 15 minutes, get some food and water. A colleague is going to fill in with recorded updates and official statement. We'll be back at 6:35. This is Daniel Rothman, 104.7 FM. Stay safe, stay indoors, stay alert. We're back at 6:37. I said 6:35, but I needed the extra couple minutes. I'm eating soup, something warm and easy on my throat. Emily's drinking hot tea, trying to soothe her voice. We both look terrible, exhausted beyond measure. But we push on. The night is fully here now. Outside the studio windows, darkness. The city lights are visible but muted. Less activity than normal. People are staying home, staying safe. The streets are nearly empty except for emergency vehicles and military patrols. It's eerie, seeing a city this quiet. Normally at this hour there would be traffic, people going to dinner, heading to evening activities. Now there's nothing. The city is holding its breath, waiting to see what the night brings. Emily's got new information. The controlled burn in Ashford is progressing as planned. Half the town has gone already, consumed by fire. The Guard is managing the burn carefully, ensuring it stays controlled, ensuring it accomplishes its purpose without spreading beyond the designated area. By midnight, Ashford will be completely destroyed. A town erased. The residents who evacuated are in shelters now, watching news coverage of their hometown burning. The grief must be overwhelming, losing your home to fire while you watch helplessly, knowing you can never go back. FEMA is working on long-term housing solutions for displaced residents from both Millwood and Ashford. Some will be able to return to Millwood eventually once the town is rebuilt and the contamination is addressed. But Ashford residents are homeless permanently. Their town won't be rebuilt. The land will likely remain contaminated, unusable. The state is going to have to relocate entire communities, help hundreds of families start over from nothing. It's a massive undertaking, both logistically and financially. But it's necessary. These people are victims of circumstances beyond their control. They deserve support, deserve help rebuilding their lives. It's 6:46. I'm checking messages on my phone. More from family and friends, more questions I don't have answers for. One message stands out. It's from a listener, someone in Millwood, who evacuated and is now in a shelter. They're thanking me for the broadcast, saying it's the only reliable information they've had all day. Saying my voice kept them calm during the evacuation, gave them hope that this situation was being handled. That message means more to me than I can express. I'm doing this broadcast because it's my job, because people need information. But knowing it's actually helping, knowing it's making a difference, that makes the exhaustion and stress worthwhile. Emily's showing me similar messages she's received. People thanking us, saying the broadcast has been vital for them. It's humbling. It's also pressure. We can't stop now, can't let these people down. They're counting on us. It's 6:54. The state police have reported multiple infected sightings in the past hour as darkness fell. 7 separate incidents scattered across the region. All were responded to, all infected were eliminated, but it confirms that infected are active at night, moving, searching for prey. One incident is particularly concerning. An infected individual made it into a residential neighborhood, attacked a family in their home. 2 family members were killed, 3 were bitten. Police arrived and eliminated the infected, but the 3 who were bitten are now infected themselves. They're being transported to isolation facilities where they'll die and reanimate within hours. This is what we feared. Infected penetrating into residential areas, attacking families in their homes. The places people feel safest, their own homes, aren't safe anymore. Not when infected can break through doors, smash through windows, get inside. People need to be barricading their homes, reinforcing doors and windows, preparing to defend themselves. Waiting for police or military to arrive might be too late. You have to be prepared to protect yourself and your family. It's 7:02. Emily's got a disturbing report. The officer who was bitten earlier in our city, during the incident with the aggressive individual, he's died. He died at County Memorial Hospital about 20 minutes ago. He's been secured in the isolation unit, and medical staff are monitoring him for reanimation. This is going to be hard for the police department, watching one of their own die and reanimate. The officer has colleagues at the hospital, friends who want to be with him, but they can't. He's in isolation, dying alone because that's the protocol. His family was allowed to say goodbye before he died through a glass barrier, unable to touch him. They said goodbye knowing he was going to reanimate, knowing they'd never see him again as he was. I can't imagine that conversation. What do you say? How do you find words for that? It's 7:10. The officer has reanimated. 6 minutes after death, consistent with other cases. He's restrained, violent, making the same guttural sounds as other infected. There's no recognition, no awareness. The person is gone. Only the infected body remains. The hospital is treating this as a learning opportunity. They're documenting everything, measuring vital signs insofar as infected have vital signs, testing responses to various stimuli. It's necessary research that might lead to treatment options. But it feels wrong, studying someone who was a colleague, a friend, treating them like a lab specimen. The ethical questions around this infection are profound. Are the infected still human? Do they have rights? Is destroying them killing, or is it just eliminating a biological threat? Different people have different answers, and those answers affect how we respond to the crisis. Legally, the infected are being treated as biological threats, not as people. That makes elimination legal, makes the military response justified. But morally, many people struggle with that classification. These were people. Some part of us recoils at the idea of treating them as just threats to be eliminated. I don't have answers to these questions. I don't think anyone does. We're in unprecedented territory, making it up as we go, trying to balance practical necessity with ethical concerns. It's 7/18. The federal government has officially declared a national emergency due to the outbreak. The president gave a brief address about an hour ago. Emily's pulling up the recording now. Let me listen and relay the key points. The president is confirming the situation in our region, acknowledging the outbreak of a dangerous infectious disease caused by contamination from an old nuclear waste site. He's not using the word zombie, not describing the reanimation. He's keeping it clinical, focused on the medical aspects. He's announcing federal support, including military deployment, medical resources, financial assistance for affected communities. He's saying the outbreak is contained to our region currently and that all measures are being taken to prevent national spread. He's advising calm, urging people to follow official guidance to avoid the affected region. He's saying the situation is under control, that federal resources are adequate to handle it, that there's no need for panic. It's a carefully calibrated message designed to inform without alarming, but I think he's underselling the severity. This isn't just an infectious disease. This is reanimated dead attacking the living. This is unlike anything in human history. People deserve to know the truth, deserve to understand what we're really facing. But I understand the reasoning. Full disclosure might cause national panic, might lead to chaos that would make response efforts harder. So he's managing the message, giving people just enough information to be aware without being terrified. It's 7:26. Emily's monitoring social media, and she's seeing the impact of the president's address. Some people are reassured, taking comfort in federal involvement. Others are angry, saying he's not being honest, not preparing people for reality. Still others are terrified, reading between the lines, understanding that if the president is involved, this is much bigger than local news made it seem. The truth is somewhere in the middle. Yes, this is serious. Yes, it's unprecedented. But yes, it's also currently contained to our region, and massive resources are being deployed to keep it that way. Both things can be true simultaneously. The question is whether containment can hold, whether the measures being taken are adequate, whether the infection can be stopped before it spreads beyond our region. We won't know for days, maybe weeks. In the meantime, we prepare, we respond, we do everything we can to minimize spread and eliminate existing infections. That's all we can do. It's 7:34. Night operations are in full swing now. Military patrols are out, sweeping rural areas, checking properties, looking for infected. They're using night vision, thermal imaging, all the technology available to find infected in the darkness. The patrols are finding them. Isolated infected individuals, sometimes in pairs or small groups, wandering through forests, along roads, across fields. Each one is engaged and eliminated. But it's slow work. The region is large, the darkness is complete in many areas, and infected are scattered widely. The military estimates there are at least 50 to 100 infected still at large in rural and wilderness areas. Finding them all could take days or even weeks. In the meantime, each one is a risk to anyone they encounter. Rural residents are being advised to stay indoors, keep lights off to avoid attracting infected, and arm themselves for self-defense. If you hear something outside at night, don't investigate. Call authorities and shelter in place. Confronting infected yourself should be last resort. It's 7:42. Emily's got a report from the environmental team monitoring the nuclear waste site. Radiation levels are elevated but not immediately dangerous to people wearing proper protection. The contamination is primarily chemical and biological rather than radiation-based. The bacteria that's causing infections was mutated by radiation but isn't itself radioactive. This is actually good news. It means people who are exposed to contaminated water aren't suffering radiation sickness on top of potential infection. It means the environment, once cleaned of bacteria, can potentially be restored to safe levels without dealing with long-term radiation hazards. The bacteria itself is vulnerable to sunlight, to UV radiation, to extreme temperatures. In the environment, exposed to the elements, it dies within hours or days. So water that was contaminated a week ago might be safe now if the bacteria have died off. But there's no way to know without testing every water source. The CDC is recommending continued extreme caution with all water sources until comprehensive testing confirms safety. Better to overreact, to stay on bottled water longer than necessary, than to risk exposure to lingering bacteria. It's 7:50. We're past 10 hours of continuous broadcasting. My voice is almost gone. I'm speaking in a hoarse rasp that's probably difficult to listen to. Emily's in similar condition. But we keep going because people need information, need a voice telling them what's happening, need to know they're not alone in this. The night is dark outside, the city is quiet, but out there in the darkness, infected are moving. Patrols are hunting them. Families are sheltering in fear. The world has changed fundamentally in just 24 hours. Nothing will be the same after this. I keep thinking about tomorrow. What happens when the sun rises? Will the immediate crisis be over? Will we have found and eliminated all the infected? Will life start returning to normal? Or will this be ongoing, day after day, a new normal where infection is an ever-present threat? I don't know. Nobody knows. We're writing this story in real time, living through history as it happens. Future generations will study this, will analyze what we did right and wrong. But for us right now, we're just trying to survive, trying to do the best we can with incomplete information and inadequate resources. It's 7:58. Top of the hour coming up, 8 p.m., 12 hours since we started this broadcast. Normally I'd have been off air for hours by now, home with my wife, eating dinner, relaxing. Instead, I'm here, exhausted, hoarse, watching the crisis unfold in real time. Emily's looking at me with concern. She thinks I need to stop, need to rest, need to let someone else take over. Maybe she's right, but I can't. Not yet. Not while people are dying, not while the situation is still evolving. When things stabilize, when we're through the worst of this, then I'll rest. But not now. It's 8:00 p.m. We're into evening, 12 hours after this crisis entered its second day. 28 hours since the initial animal attack in Millwood that started everything. Just over a day, and our world has been turned upside down. Emily's got new casualty figures. The official count is 309 eliminated infected, with estimates of 50 to 100 still at large. 63 military and law enforcement personnel have been bitten and infected. 47 of those have already died and been eliminated after reanimation. The rest are dying hours away from reanimation. Civilian casualties are harder to count. At least 200 confirmed dead in Millwood and Ashford from the initial outbreak. Unknown number dead in other locations from scattered infected encounters. Missing persons reports are flooding in, people who haven't been heard from since yesterday, possibly dead or infected or hiding somewhere. The total death toll is probably over 400, maybe 500. In 28 hours, that's more deaths than most disasters cause in weeks. And the toll is still climbing. Every hour brings new casualties, new infections, new death. This is a catastrophe on a scale our region has never experienced. It's comparable to a major natural disaster, an earthquake or hurricane. But it's worse in some ways because the threat is ongoing, spreading, creating new dangers every moment. It's 8:09. The controlled burn in Ashford is nearly complete. The town is 90% destroyed. Only a few structures on the periphery remain, and those will be burned within the next hour. By 9 p.m., Ashford will be completely gone, nothing but ash and burned foundation. The Guard is preparing to maintain a perimeter around the burn site overnight, ensuring no embers spread to surrounding forest, ensuring the fire accomplished its purpose of eliminating all infection. They'll hold the perimeter for at least 24 hours, monitoring for any signs of surviving infected, though survival in that inferno is impossible. Tomorrow they'll begin cleanup, removing debris, testing soil and ash for contamination, determining when or if the land can ever be used again. It's going to be a long process, months or years, before final determination is made. In the meantime, former residents of Ashford are homeless, displaced, dependent on emergency services. Their lives have been completely disrupted, their future is uncertain. The psychological trauma is going to last for years. It's 8:17. Emily's showing me footage of the burn. The entire town is engulfed in flames, an inferno visible for miles. The heat is so intense that the Guard perimeter has to stay back several hundred yards. The sound must be deafening, the roar of fire consuming everything. It's apocalyptic imagery, a town burning, being erased from existence. This is what we've come to. This is what's necessary to stop the infection. Complete destruction, total elimination of any possible contamination. I wonder if this is what future outbreaks will look like. If an outbreak occurs in a city, will we be willing to burn entire neighborhoods, entire districts, At what point does the cure become worse than the disease? At what point do we say the cost is too high? These are questions we'll have to answer if this continues. Hard questions with no good answers. How much are we willing to destroy to save the rest? How many lives are we willing to sacrifice to protect others? It's 8:25. My phone's vibrating. My wife? She's hearing explosions in the distance. I'm checking with Emily, checking police and military channels. There's a military operation underway about 5 miles from our location. A group of infected was spotted in an industrial area. The military is using explosives to collapse buildings, trapping the infected inside, then burning the rubble. It's an effective tactic for dealing with concentrated infected in non-residential areas. Collapse the structure, eliminate the infected in the rubble, burn everything. It's loud, it's violent, but it worked. But it means our city is now a combat zone. Explosions in the night, fires burning, military operations in urban areas. This is surreal. This doesn't happen in peaceful nations and stable societies. This is what happens in war zone. And maybe that's what this is. A war. Not against human enemies, but against an infection, against reanimated dead, against nature turned hostile. A war we didn't choose, didn't expect, but find ourselves fighting nonetheless. It's 8:33. The military operation near our location has concluded successfully. All infected in that area have been eliminated. No military casualties. The collapsed building is burning now, ensuring complete destruction of any remaining biological material. The explosions have stopped. The city is quiet again except for the distant sound of sirens, the hum of helicopters overhead, the constant background noise of a city in crisis. My wife is okay, shaken by the explosions but physically safe. I'm telling her again to stay inside, stay away from windows, keep her phone charged and nearby. I wish I could be there with her. But I'm here, doing this broadcast, because it's what I can do to help. Emily's got new information from the CDC. They've completed genetic sequencing of the mutated bacteria. It's even more different from the original species than they initially thought. It's essentially a new organism, something that's never existed before, created by the unique conditions of the radioactive waste site. The CDC is sharing this information with research institutions worldwide. They're hoping someone somewhere will have insights that lead to treatment options. But realistically, developing a cure for a completely novel organism is going to take time. The focus has to remain on containment and elimination. Prevent new infections through quarantine and screening. Eliminate existing infections through destruction of infected individuals. It's brutal, but it's the only option currently available. It's 8:42. The State Health Department is updating guidelines for handling bodies. Any body that might have been infected must be burned within 12 hours of death before decomposition begins. Decomposition could potentially spread the bacteria into soil and groundwater, creating new contamination. This means families can't have traditional funerals for infected loved ones. No viewings, no burials, just immediate cremation. It's another loss, another way this crisis disrupts normal life and grief processes, but it's necessary. The bacteria can survive in dead tissue for a time. Bodies left to decompose naturally could become sources of contamination. So everyone who dies from infection has to be burned, ashes scattered or buried in sealed containers. The funeral industry is being mobilized to handle the volume of cremations. Mobile cremation units are being brought in. Mass cremations are being organized. It's grim work, but necessary work. It's 8:50. FEMA is announcing the establishment of a formal quarantine zone encompassing 9 counties. The zone includes Millwood, Ashford, and all surrounding areas where infection has been confirmed or where contamination is suspected. The quarantine is mandatory. Anyone attempting to leave without authorization will be detained. Military checkpoints are being reinforced, made permanent for the duration of the crisis. Additional units are being deployed to ensure complete coverage of all routes out of the zone. The goal is absolute containment, zero movement in or out. This is going to be controversial. People who live in the quarantine zone but aren't infected, aren't exposed, they're essentially trapped. They can't leave even though they're healthy, even though they have family elsewhere, even though they have reasons to go. They're stuck until the quarantine is lifted. But the alternative is uncontrolled spread of the infection beyond the region. One infected person leaving the zone could start an outbreak in a new location. The quarantine is harsh but necessary to protect the rest of the country. It's 8:58. We're approaching 11 hours of continuous broadcasting. I'm beyond exhausted. I'm running on pure determination now, forcing myself to stay focused, to keep delivering information. Emily's in the same state. We're both barely functional, but we keep going. The night is deepening. It's full dark now, has been for hours. The city lights outside seem dimmer somehow, as if the darkness is more profound than usual. Maybe it's just my exhaustion. Maybe it's the weight of everything that's happened. Out there in that darkness, infected are still moving, patrols are still hunting them, families are still sheltering in fear. The crisis continues, unrelenting, unforgiving. It's 9:06. Emily's got a report that's both encouraging and concerning. The rate of new infection reports has decreased significantly over the past few hours. Either we're getting ahead of the outbreak, or people have stopped reporting because they're too scared or because communication systems are failing.